Oh my goodness.
We good? I'm running the stream. I'm trying to
I
do it
think
from my
so. It's
computer.
loading. Yeah. You actually did a good job with the crop. Good job, Eric. I'll move this. All right.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers defeated the Denver Nuggets 125 to 115 today. Eric Brandt. We got, of course, Torrey Jones over there.
Yep.
Um, Now 3-1 in the bubble. I'm hoping everyone can hear me okay. Is the audio good?
Mhm.
Can you hear Tori as well? Do you see
You're
both of
good.
us? All right.
I think we're all.
Think
So
we're good to go.
let me just get out of the way, right? So I had a problem with the watch party stream. Tried to set up my computer in the other room. Now all of a sudden, my computer will not connect to a monitor right now. That's why it took so long for us to go live, because my computer will not connect to a monitor. It won't display on anything, and everything as far as streaming and everything I do for this channel is on that computer. So that threw me for the watch party, and then I was having Eric set up my face cam with all this and set things up. Is my audio on webcam? My audio is going to be a little worse because I'm using this mic. But if it's bad, then I might need to switch it in Skype. So might have to sort out a couple technical things, but hopefully we're good to go. Getting this post game stream out for you guys. I was so stressed. I'm still stressed. I need my computer, man. So
Yeah, I was stressed having to try to deal with shit while
yeah.
on trying to do the watch party and stuff. But yeah, we got the victory. If we were talking, like you said, if we
Me and Eric might
this,
actually be fighting if we lost.
if we would have lost this game and had to deal with all this stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We're just adapting. We're still getting you guys a post-game stream. For anybody that's in that watch party, we'll try and do another one. I got to get my computer looked at, so I'll go and do that tomorrow. But we will try and get another, like, legit watch party out. Because it would have been legit, except I had computer issues. So then Eric had to stream during it. So we did stream for a bit during it. Tried to make the best out of it. But for everybody that had a ticket, we will do another watch party, maybe the 11th or something like that. We will make it to you guys once I get my computer fixed, which it's just such a stupid problem to have, man. Like HDMI cord plugged in from the computer to the monitor won't work. So anyway, we adapt, we adjust, just like a good basketball team, and now we're here a little bit later. But what's going on? We got that dub.
Yes, we did, and thankfully Dame had his best game of the bubble. Poured in 11 threes on 18 attempts, got 45 points, 12 assists. I mean, that's just an incredible game out of Dame, and he carried us for a while in this game. We also had huge contribution from Gary Trent. I mean, you can't say enough good things about the way Trent's playing right now. I mean, he's playing at an all-star level, and it's crazy to think about, but like he is a legit like player in this league right now, like a good player. You have so many things that I have to decide whether to show or hide, and it doesn't seem like it's
Welcome
that
to my world. Me and Eric changed places. Now Eric has my Skype call on his screen, and he gets to see what it's like to have that, and I can have whatever on mine. We literally swap places. So, yeah.
But Gary Trent tonight had 27 points, 3 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 7 of 10 3-point shooting. That's 70% 3-point shooting. I mean, honestly, he's playing better than Wesley played for us.
Yeah.
Sean Castiles is, I think you have Whiteside as a trigger word on here.
Do I?
I don't know. Like, anytime someone puts Whiteside, it makes me have to, like...
That's funny.
It just says Whiteside is rough. That shouldn't have been a...
Hey, maybe rough is a trigger word. I don't know.
Maybe.
It could be used in weird ways.
Yeah. But anyways, it was pretty much the Dame and Gary Trent show today. Thankfully, we needed both of them in this game somehow. This should have been a game we easily won. Denver didn't even play Jokic in the fourth quarter. Nope. Whiteside ain't it. Also hidden for review.
Whiteside, I guess, is
We
a
gotta
trigger
we
word.
gotta
I didn't
get
even notice
Whiteside off the trigger words thing.
that. Poor Whiteside, man. He's so triggering. He's on the trigger word list. Because he was pretty triggering during this game. I did get triggered at Whiteside during this game. But yeah, no, Gary Trent Jr., Damian Lillard, two phenomenal shooters. Now we have like that third guy that can just get super insanely hot from three. It was Seth Curry last year. Now it's Gary Trent Jr.
And Nurk had one of the more frustrating games from Nurk, despite having 22 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
He threw down at least 5, maybe 6 dunks in this game that were incredible. When he decides to go and attack the rim, he's pretty much unstoppable. But yeah, so he got in a problem where he was getting indecisive on some of his drives and passes and was doing these little finesse flip shots and stuff like that. And he's really struggled shooting for a while. I think he was like 7 of 18 at one point, finished 9 of 20. But yeah, he's just got to go in and dunk it and go up strong and get fouled and get to the line because he's shooting. He finally missed his first free throw, but overall, I think he's 22 of 23 in the bubble so far, maybe even 24 or 25,
Which is phenomenal.
something like that. So like, get to the line when you're that hot at the line. And then CJ had 13, 6 and 6, was 4 of 15 from the field. He didn't have a great game. I felt like at times he recognized that his shot wasn't falling and was looking to pass out of some of his penetrations, which is good to see. That's a step in his game that we've always talked about, how he could become a better player is to use the way he can draw in a defense to his advantage to find open teammates. And the 6 assists speak to that. Zach had 7 points and 9 rebounds. He had a lot of fumbled balls again. A key play where he didn't box out. But overall, okay game from Zach. Not great, not bad either. He's 3 for 6 from the field, so 50%. I guess you can't really say anything bad about that. But he's got to improve those brick hands he has, man. Like,
yeah, man.
He's got to start catching the ball better. He has improved a lot as a passer, and that's good to see. The little 2-man game between Nurk and Zach when one of them is on the baseline works really well. But if they're both kind of parallel to each other, it seems like they're in the wrong spot or they're trying to find the other person, but it's not the right pass. And so yeah, spacing is still an issue. Melo had 7 points, 5 rebounds, was 2 of 8 from the field. Not the greatest game from Melo, unfortunately. He actually didn't play much at the end of the game either. They had Trent in there with the starters. So I think that was the right call in this game. You're not always going to have great performances.
27. I didn't even realize he had so many points, man. I knew it was. I said it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm still scrambled brain.
Okay. But yeah, Melo's had now he's had 2 really good games. He's had an okay game, and now this was his kind of subpar game. But yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, he's like, 35, 36 years old. He's not going to have a great game every game. So it's okay if you have bad games every once in a while. It's how you follow it up. So be looking to see how he does next game. What's up, Randall Pink Floyd? Nice to have you here.
What's up, Randall? Long time no see.
Whiteside was pretty brutal tonight. He just seemed like he had no energy, flat-footed. He got beat on some boards. He was out of position a lot. He was 1 for 5 from the field. So when you have that Whiteside, there's really no point in playing him. Unfortunately, he was coming off his best game of the bubble so far. So it's a little disappointing to see him kind of revert back to the seemingly kind of just aloof Whiteside. But hopefully they can sit him down and say, look, it's obvious like your body language is not good when you come into the game sometimes. So like, I know it sucks coming off the bench, but you need to come in with energy. And I mentioned this during the game that it almost seems like a game where you'd want to play Gabriel over Whiteside just to have some energy, and like it seemed like it was a game where we could have needed a guy who just did some dirty work in this game and ran around. But yeah, it's hopefully Whiteside can figure it out. It's got to be tough. He's been a good soldier so far, but like coming off the bench, he hasn't complained. So I have to give him credit for that. But yeah, he's got to come in and dominate those. Like when you're playing against Mason Plumlee, you can't let Plumlee like absolutely school you like he did and let Denver back in the game. And if you're part of that second unit, you got to make sure you're the man of the second unit and you're shutting down everything and running that defense. And so hopefully he can grow into that role. But yeah, right now that was a bad game.
Yeah. The thing is, if he comes in and he like misses shots, okay, fine. If he comes in and he plays hard defense and fouls because of it, okay, that's fine. That happens. It's just like the energy with him. I just want him to come in and play with energy because that is the biggest X factor when it comes to his game, especially coming off the bench, because we know he's obviously not thrilled about coming off the bench and he wanted to start, wanted to remain starting, and doesn't want to play 13 minutes in a game, which is how much he played tonight. So just Dame needs to talk with him, and we just need to get him to buy into this playoff run. We got 4 more games left until the playoffs or the playing games. So we just need him to buy in and just try and play with energy, which I thought he kind of lacked tonight. I thought last game was better in terms of that. I thought tonight it was definitely his like laziest game or his least energetic game.
Yeah, he had that nice turnaround fadeaway in the post, like he showed in the Laker game, where he yelled Kobe on Kobe night.
Yep.
But I thought that was going to give him a little bit of juice for this game. And like usually when he makes a shot like that, then you can tell his energy level is different right after that. So it's kind of disappointed to see him not have that after he made that shot and then, go 1 for 5 from the field. So that was his only bucket. You have to shout out someone. So 503 for the fans is in here. He said he would come in if we won tonight. So he says, "Sup, y'all."
On his actual account.
It says 503 for the fans.
My podcast. Chat is so laggy. So, but what's up, man?
Good to have you in here.
Eric's the one streaming tonight, right? This isn't how it normally looks. It looks good, but my computer, man, it won't work right now. So, yeah, that's tragic. That's like I don't even know. Like what? That's like you guys losing your phones, right? You 16-year-olds that watch this probably on your phones. It's like if you lost your phones, man. Imagine that. So, yeah, I've been scramble brained all day and didn't really get to tune in too much to the first half of it. To the first half of the game, I was listening to the TV. I just heard that Gary Trent Jr. going off, Damian Lillard going off. So I'm looking forward to watch these highlights to see what I missed. But yeah. Anyway, go on with whatever point you were making.
Well, I guess we'll get off of Whiteside now. But Simons was the only other player that played. I think he played like 12 to 15 minutes or so. Once again, didn't have a huge impact on the game either positively or negatively, and I think once again for Simons that's a good thing. Just don't make mistakes when you're out there. Give us some good minutes to get guys rest because we're only playing 8 players, so it might not seem like a lot, but just to give, Dame played 40 plus minutes, so just to give Dame a couple minutes on the bench where we didn't completely mess the bed, and yeah, he was okay. He didn't make any mistakes on defense. He was 1 for 2 from the field. His one shot was that he made was goaltended. I wish he would just go up and try to pack those, but so much like Nurk, I think him and Nurk have the same thing. Like they just need to dunk the ball. Same with Collins, I guess. Just dunk on people, and then try to draw fouls, get the other team in foul trouble. That's what teams do to us. Like, even if you block the shot every once in a while, you're still going to get a foul call more often than not. So just get teams in foul trouble. So Portland set their team record today for threes in a game with 23. They were 23 of 39, 59%. So like I said, that 23 made threes is a team record. And we needed most of those threes, man. We let Denver get back in the lead there late in the fourth quarter. Luckily, both Trent and Dame took over at the end, and it didn't matter. But yeah, Gary Trent Jr. might be the best spot up 3-pointer in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean it's getting there, you know. Jeez, I'm so excited to just see what he becomes like in his prime because I asked I asked on the stream like what is this dude's ceiling? You know, like this dude just he right now he looks like such a phenomenal 3-point shooter. I just wonder like how good of a 3-point shooter could he really become? And how good of a defender could he really become? Because you might be talking about maybe not, you know, Klay Thompson level, but like the same mold and like a potential like fringe all-star level in that mold. You know, a guy that can get you 18, 19 points per game. I mean, that's what he's doing right now in this bubble. Obviously, he's not going to shoot like this, but just a guy that can get you like 17, 18, 19 points per game with phenomenal defense, that would be a very that would be phenomenal. And I think that is kind of just based on this being his second year, only being 21 years old, that's kind of my expectations for his prime because he still has a lot of time to get there.
I think is Klay a little taller? Is he like 6'7", 6'8"?
He's like 6'7". He's like 6'6", 6'7". Gary Trent Jr. 6'5", 6'6".
Slightly longer wingspan, but
yeah.
But Trent doesn't need to like have a lot of dribbles on offense, and he can get up in people's face from pretty much full court. If you didn't see the beginning of this game, Michael Porter Jr. had 10 points in the first few minutes of this game, was unstoppable. We put in Gary Trent Jr. on him, and he had 2 points the rest of the half.
Yep.
And then I forgot how much he finished with. I can't check on my computer.
He had 27. He went off in the second half, but it was a lot of like jumpers over guys that were just like 5 inches shorter than him. You know what I mean? Which like you put a Trevor Ariza on him, he ain't scoring 27. He does not look good tonight if you put a Trevor Ariza on him.
A couple of his 3-pointers were tough shots, though.
Tough.
He made a couple ones towards the end that, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, he can get hot and hit shots.
Kevin, Torrey's not going to give him his due.
He can get hot and hit shots. Yeah. You know? I'm not out here saying, he can't have a 27-point game where he shoots the ball well. Never have I, you know, my thoughts on Michael Porter Jr. get twisted and people take them differently than how I'm trying to explain it. He shot over guys today that were 5 inches shorter than him, you know? Put a Trevor Ariza on him, see what happens. That's all I got to say, because I think Trevor Ariza, if we had Trevor Ariza, this would have been the perfect game to have him. I don't think Michael Porter Jr. passes 20, to be honest, just because he's not going to be able to, like, shoot these shots the same way. You know, he hit a shot over Dame when we switched stupidly. It wasn't a position we had to switch on. We put Dame on him, and he hit a 15-footer in the second half over Dame. You know what I mean? It's just like him shooting over guys that are just much smaller than him. And it's like if we just kept a good perimeter defender on him for the entire game, I think he struggles. I think that's the type of defender that you can put on him. So that's the thing. Like, if he ever is going to become a star, he needs to be able to do this type of stuff against, like, Kawhi, LeBron, Paul George, defenders like that. You know, not, he's shooting over Dame and CJ. Like, that is not I shouldn't have to. I saw somebody say, you should apologize for what you said about MPJ. No, this doesn't change my mind one bit. So shout out to Ads for the $5 donation. He said MPJ tried a little trash talk to Dame. Thoughts? I think Dame is probably 100 times more witty than he is. So I don't think that'd go well for Michael Porter Jr. And Damian Lillard is 100 times better than Michael Porter Jr. So there's no reason for him to be talking trash.
For league wide, I think Dame is one of the least people you want to talk smack to.
Yeah.
Like that's not a good idea, I don't think. Because you saw it. Dame got going, and he had an incredible game. And, but I'm glad. I hope more people try to talk trash to him because he has that chip on his shoulder, and he will use every little motivation he can to put guys away. And he did tonight. Dame took over this game, and we're lucky to have him as Blazer fans.
Yep. Let me just say something bold right now. I don't think if you compare Gary Trent Jr. to Michael Porter Jr. I don't think I'd take Michael Porter Jr. Honestly, I don't know. That's a debate for you guys to have in chat right now. That's a question for Eric. Who would you rather have, Michael Porter Jr. or Gary Trent Jr.?
That one's tough. Like I said before, I think it's really tough. Like, I mean, I guess Trent doesn't have a huge sample size, but at least you saw him play in college and do similar things. Whereas Michael Porter Jr., you didn't really see him. Like, he was injured pretty much his whole. I think he played like 2 or 3 games in college. He missed his whole first year in the NBA. He played like 50 games this year or something.
Yeah.
So there's just not a huge sample size on his game yet. But I like what Trent's doing, and this always goes back to me like it goes back to the whole Melo versus Gary Trent argument to me, whereas Gary Trent fits better with Dame and CJ, I think, than Michael Porter Jr. would in our starting lineup. If you're talking about like running a bench unit and needing a scorer off the bench, maybe I could see that, but I'd probably take Gary Trent Jr. for the Blazers.
Yeah, they're primarily shooters. Like Michael Porter Jr., he's 6'10", and yes, you can get a bucket inside, but he's primarily a jump shooter. Same way with Gary Trent, right? The thing is, Gary Trent Jr. is like 10 times the defender Michael Porter Jr. is, and Gary Trent Jr. doesn't have the same injury concerns that Michael Porter Jr. does. So I would agree with you on that. I'm taking Gary Trent Jr. over Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. is far more overhyped, but I'm not taking MPJ over GTJ.
I think, like, if I was, say, like the Charlotte Hornets or something, I'd probably take Michael Porter Jr. just because, like, he probably has a little more upside.
Why?
Just because I still feel like this league is about like if you're like the best player on the team or whatever, you still need to be able to have elite shot creation, and I think Michael Porter Jr. can get to that. Trent might be able to, but I just see him as a better like shooter spotting up at this point of his career. I think Michael Porter Jr. has a little bit more skills to be a playmaker than Gary Trent Jr. does.
See, that for me is where like I haven't seen anything from Michael Porter Jr. that I haven't seen from Gary Trent Jr. in terms of like playmaking off the dribble type stuff, you know. Obviously Michael Porter Jr. is bigger, so that helps him, but still, like, in terms of like their off the dribble creation, maybe I'm overrating Gary Trent Jr. here, but like I don't think it's any better from Michael Porter Jr. in terms of like breaking guys down off the dribble, making plays off the dribble, attacking the rim, that type of thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting debate to have. Most NBA fans would say Michael Porter Jr. just because he's overhyped. But I'm not on that hype train. You know, I'm not on that hype train. I will take the next Bradley Beal instead of the next Danilo Gallinari. I mean, that's not a terrible comparison for him. I don't know. Maybe it is. Like his like absolute ceiling is like Bradley Beal.
Hey, Block Boy, I just want to tell you this right now. This man, not me, this other man is the Melo hater, and he's also saying this stuff about Michael Porter Jr.
I'm not the Melo hater. He's trying to take the heat off himself, bro.
No, everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that you're the Melo hater. I made merch based off Melo. What'd you make? You didn't make any merch.
Well, you get money off your merch. I don't.
Nope. He's a Melo hater. Changing the subject. Shout out to Beavis and Butthead for the $5 donation. Can we show some love for Goddess Brooke Olsendam? GTJ will learn driving skills from CJ and Dame and have one of the best all-around games in NBA and become all-star. Brooke Olsendam, you want me to show her love? I don't think she wants me to show her love, but yeah, Brooke, I love you. Just wanted it. As far as Gary Trent Jr., yeah, I mean, I hope he becomes like that off the dribble threat. If he can do that, he definitely has all-star potential. Show some love to Brooke, Eric. Beavis wants it.
Yeah, you guys gotta stop simping, man.
Eric's married. He can't show love,
No
man.
one
You
in
try to
here,
get.
no one in here has a chance with Brooke. There's no points.
Yep. Trust me. If I got rejected, you guys would get rejected too. You know what I mean? Uh, just kidding.
So Near012 also with the $5 dono. He says so.
Yo.
MPJ will be a scoring stud. His size is his weapon, but GTJ is way more aggressive overall, and I like that. Yep. Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Sorry.
Chris keeps saying my volume is low or off or something. I don't.
Is it?
I don't know. You're the only person who said that, but
chat, let us know if the audio is good. Thank you, Near Zero, for the donation. I can't talk all of a sudden. I'm so scrambled brain today. Gary is like a better Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo is a solid, but Victor Oladipo is like so much more athletic, I feel like. That's kind of the difference in their games. I don't know. It's just hard to project Gary Trent Jr. long term. You know?
How do I make my audio louder? It's up all the way. I don't know.
Do you have the mixer? Do you know how to get to the mic?
On OBS?
Yeah, but the mixer's probably up all the way.
It is up all the way, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. I think he just needs to turn up his audio, and then if I'm too loud, then you just have to turn me down. Put the mic in your mouth, says Butthead.
I'll move it like closer, I don't know. It's like right here, I don't know.
You need to eat the mic. Dame is our best defender in the bubble? No, he's not. No, he's not. I don't know. Gary Trent Jr. is better than Dame. Play better defense than Dame. Maybe the second best perimeter defender. Maybe you could give Dame that, but that's not really saying much compared to like the other options are CJ and Melo.
Blockboy says he was perfectly fine with Melo sitting at the end of the game tonight. Yep, I think that was the right call in this game. I think we had the right lineup out there to close it out. Denver obviously didn't care. They had like PJ Dozier and Bates Jupp and
yeah,
Plumlee,
which PJ Dozier was actually playing solid.
Yeah, he was okay.
He had 13 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds on 5 for 11 shooting in 22 minutes, 2 for 3 from 3. Like for PJ Dozier,
in the second half. In the first half, I was like, yes, keep shooting.
Yeah, I feel it. Bull wasn't really impressive today. I don't see the hype with him. All right, I noticed how none of you guys are calling me out on my take for Bull. 9 points, 25 minutes. Cool. Yay.
He actually got to play. That was cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the hype with him, man. I just don't see it.
This will be the only time I address this, but Sebastian Perez, like, you are the worst troller of all time. Like, you say the dumbest troll things. Oh, Lakers about to get out the broom, so okay. Like, I mean, we're stoked that we're going to make the playoffs, so, yeah. That doesn't bother me one bit that you're saying that. And
Eric has to call it out because he doesn't know how to hand out 5-minute bans or permanent bans or anything. So
that means we got the 8 seed, even if the Lakers do sweep us. Whatever. We'll take our chances, man. And yeah, this season's been absolute.
He's in here every stream giving us the viewership, though.
Yep. This season has been absolute crap at times, and it's been so depressing that making the playoffs at this point would be such a huge accomplishment for this team, considering how stacked things were against them doing so. And thankfully, Memphis is completely gone off the rails. But
they could go 0-8.
Yeah,
in this race, which would be crazy, which would be insane. 0-4. It's crazy how they're 0-4 and Phoenix is 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
Which I ain't worried about Phoenix, right? Maybe we should talk about standings right now.
Yeah. You can bring it up and talk about it. We're half a game behind Memphis, so we're gonna pass them up soon. But
yeah. Do you want to put it on the screen? Do you even want to mess with that?
I don't want to move anything on my screen right now. I'm just not gonna touch it.
You just move the browser over my face.
I'm not gonna touch it.
Make me eat the standings, bro. Anyway, all right, we'll go through them.
I know we're a half game behind Memphis.
We are a half game behind Memphis. We are 1.5 games ahead of Phoenix. We are 1.5 games ahead of San Antonio. We are 2 games of Sacramento and 2 games ahead of New Orleans. So where we're standing at right now, over the final 4 games, we only have to win 1 more game than Memphis to pass them for 8th. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal situation to be in.
Yep.
We have basically a 2-win cushion on Phoenix and San Antonio. They have to win 2 more games than us over the final 4 in order to pass us, right? So if we go 3-1, we're guaranteed a play-in. If we go 3-1, if we go 2-2, then for us to not get a play-in, Phoenix or San Antonio would have to win the rest of their games, which I don't think is likely either. So more likely than not, 2-2 gets the job done. We could go 2-2, and Phoenix could win out. And we could both pass Memphis. That's also a distinct possibility. Given that Brooklyn is so bad, which is the last game, we have. If we win one of our next 3 games, we should be in a play-in, basically. So we're 1 win to pass Memphis. Phoenix and San Antonio needs 2 wins to pass us. Sacramento and New Orleans needs 3 more wins than us over their final 4 games in order to pass us.
Yeah, they're pretty much done.
Yeah, that was a huge win by Sacramento over New Orleans today. It's funny how New Orleans is in 13th place right now.
What's up, Ash?
We're so worried about
you
them.
In here, man.
Yo, what's up, Ash? We were so worried about them and their easy schedule. They're 1-4.
Yeah,
they're 1-4. They have no excuse to be 1-4.
Yep.
So they obviously were not ready. They were overhyped.
I mean,
yeah.
We are. What, like one win away from like basically making it so like or gaining 1 more game up on them from making it so they wouldn't even be in the playoff game.
Yeah.
Or the playing game.
Like
because if we're more than 4 games ahead of them,
if
like,
we
no
win,
matter what they do, even if
we win and they win their next game, then they could still pass us because they are 2.5 games behind us.
One more like where we gain a game on them.
Yeah. So, I mean, regardless, we win 1 of our next 3. We should be in Brooklyn. Basically, we're in a position where we're still scoreboard watching, but I think Memphis plays tomorrow. Who do they play?
Memphis plays OKC, I believe.
Yeah. So we'll be tied with Memphis, right? It's still just a situation where we just got to win games, but like if Phoenix and San Antonio lose their next game and we win, we're in a position where we'd have to lose out and they'd have to win out in order for us to not be in a play-in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like that position. We could have a play-in clinched with less than 2 games left.
And for the record, I am not worried about any team as long as we are the 8 seed. If we have to win 2 games versus 1, then I think I worry about almost every game except for maybe Memphis, but I doubt that's going to be the case. But yeah, I love our chances having to win 1 out of 2 games against any of those teams that are possible right now. I don't like our chances as much if we have to win both games, but it's still pretty solid opportunity. But we're in the driver's seat right now to get that 8 seed and only have to win 1 of those 2 games, so we cannot stumble in any of these games.
Yep.
And Mateo says, how do we feel about chances 8 seed Blazers versus 9 seed Suns? See, that's what I'm talking about. If we have to just win 1 out of 2 games, I think we could do that easily.
Why would anybody be worried about losing 2 games to Phoenix? We have to beat them 1 out of 2 games. It's Phoenix.
Well, they're playing great right now, and they're
but
you see how hot they can get shooting.
Yeah, but if we lose, if we have a situation where we make the playoffs by beating Phoenix 1 out of 2 games, like we should do that. And if we don't do that, then like okay, you know what? We were probably like screw it, they deserve it. If we can't get it done 1 out of 2 games against them, then like what's the point? Almost. You know what I mean? Like obviously I want us very, very badly to make the playoffs, but I'm not gonna sit here and be worried about like, oh, what if Phoenix gets 9th? They could beat us twice in a row. Like that's not like the mindset. It's like if we're gonna make the playoffs, we should be able to take care of one of two games against Phoenix. That's just my mindset on it.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. It'd be nice to just get the first game out of the way and not have to have the pressure of the second game. But it's looking right now that we're going to be the 8th seed, and that's going to be great. The Suns still have some tough games. But
who has the tiebreaker between Memphis and Phoenix? I'm going to try and figure that out right now. Because Memphis is 2 games ahead. If they tie, they'll be tied in like the win column and the loss column. So, okay, here we go. Here's tiebreakers. Let me see here.
It's conference record it goes to next.
I got a site.
I know it doesn't matter for us at all, but it does matter for other teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we have like more games played than everybody else. That's why we're in the position where we kind of have every tiebreaker. So let me find it on this article.
Real quick, while you're doing that,
they lost.
Okay, go ahead.
Phoenix lost the season series to the Grizzlies 1-3. So Phoenix has to win 3 more games than the Grizzlies over their final 4 to pass them, right? So why are we worried about Phoenix? Oh, what if we have to face Phoenix in the play? Not like we shouldn't be worried about them even if they get in there because we only have to beat them 1 out of 2 times most likely. You know, if we're the 8th seed and they're the 9th seed, but also it's still not likely that they pass Memphis. Because getting 3 games in 4, like if they go 2-2, they're not going to pass Memphis, even if Memphis loses out, right? And Phoenix doesn't have an easy schedule. So, I don't think it happens.
So funny, Sebastian. Rather watch Suns versus Lakers over the sorry-ass Blazers.
Just
no, I know. No, I showed it to I want everyone to see his dumb comments. Yeah, the Suns play Miami next, yep.
The Spurs tied the season series with the Grizzlies, so then you said it goes to conference record?
I think they made it conference record was the second tiebreaker over
or division. Isn't it division record if they're in the same division?
I think that's only if they're first in their division, but I don't know. I was only looking at it from like the Blazers' point of view, so I didn't really pay attention to other teams. I never really thought there would be a possibility that Memphis would go 0-8 and just completely crap themselves. But
because Memphis is 4-9 in division, San Antonio is 5-6, so San Antonio is going to win that tiebreaker. But conference, Memphis is 19-26, and San Antonio is 17-22. So
near 0-12 says it's division.
Either way, I think San Antonio has the tiebreaker with Memphis. Yeah. If San Antonio, especially if San Antonio catches Memphis, San Antonio will have the tiebreaker because they will have an advantage in division and they will have an advantage in conference record because I think they do right now. Conference record, San Antonio is 17-22, Memphis is 19-26, so that's like a weird difference because Memphis has 6 more games played. The winning percentage there would be higher for San Antonio, though. And if San Antonio gains 2 games on Memphis, like they're not going to like lose that tiebreaker, you know? So, yeah. So San Antonio has a tiebreaker with Memphis. Memphis has the tiebreaker with Phoenix. So San Antonio only has to win 2 more games than Memphis over these final 4 games in order to pass them. Phoenix has to win 3. So I'd say right now, there's about a 60 to 70% chance we play Memphis. Let's say 65%. I think there is a 25% chance we play San Antonio, and I think there's a 10% chance we'd play Memphis or play Phoenix. That's my guesstimate on it. I don't know if you disagree with that, Eric. It's just kind of
that sounds pretty right. I mean, if Phoenix stays hot, they could definitely throw a wrench into that because, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I don't see him going. No. And even then, if Memphis goes 2-2, Phoenix still misses out. So yeah, I'm not worried about. I'm just not worried about it. I'm not worried about Phoenix. I'm not worried about any of these teams below us. I want to pass Memphis, which, man, if we could have beat Boston, we would have been ahead of Memphis right now. Dang, I wish we won that game because that game was close too. But I'm glad we're 3-1 in the bubble so far. I'm glad we've beaten two good teams. One was missing a bunch of guys, but still, like, that was a game on our schedule. Like, oh, we have to play Denver and Houston, right? But we took care of both those games. So that Memphis game was huge. Because if we lost that game, that game went into OT. If we lost that game, we would have been 2.5 games behind Memphis. We really wouldn't have had a chance to pass them.
That's why that game was away.
I know. That's why that game was so huge, though. Because instead of being 2.5 games back, we're half a game back. So, yeah, I honestly, at this point, I think there's at least a 50% chance we get the 8th seed. Because Memphis is struggling. They still have a tough schedule. 1 game in 4 we have to gain on them. I like that.
Yep.
You got Philadelphia, who doesn't have Ben Simmons, or shouldn't have Ben Simmons when we play him. You got the Clippers, which they might rest people. I don't know. They haven't been, so, but the Clippers are always weird. That's the toughest game left. But you got Philadelphia without Ben Simmons. You got Brooklyn, and you got Dallas, who might rest people, might rest Luka, I like that. I think we should go 3-1. I think we should go 3-1 over the rest of these games.
And the Clippers winning today, they beat Dallas, right? Yeah, they did. And then us beating Denver gives them, I think, a 1.5 game cushion. So that game might not be as needed to beat us to stay in that 2nd seed. They might have, especially if Denver doesn't play anyone the next few games too. They could lose a couple of games and be out of the contention for the 2nd seed. But yeah.
So I like our positioning, man. You really couldn't have asked for anything better out of the first 4 games out of this bubble. Like, realistically.
Yeah.
Memphis is 0-4. We're 3-1.
Other than Phoenix winning 2 games they shouldn't have won against the Clippers and today against the Pacers, everything else has pretty much gone exactly how we needed it to go, other than our own loss. But 3-1, I'll take it. And it's just it's great. I mean, we're talking about what, like 30% chance of making the playoffs or something.
Yeah.
And that was without Ariza, but those numbers have jumped like way up to. I mean, it's almost a foregone conclusion at this point that we're going to make the playoffs.
That we're going to get the 8th seed.
Maybe the 8th seed too. Yeah.
Playoffs in terms of like the play-ins.
Yeah, we'll like make the playoffs. Yeah.
Gotcha. Because when I said like 30% before, I was like 30% we get the 8th seed. That's what I would have put on it before. I think somewhere in there. What do you think that percentage is up to now? That we get the 8th seed?
It's like at least 80% probably.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I was going to go more around 50 to 60%.
Of being who are you worried about not getting the 8th seed from? You said you weren't worried about the Suns.
Yeah, I just think there's still a chance we don't get the 8th seed, and then we have to win 2 games, which is going to be hard, no matter who we go against, right?
So you think we're not going to be one better than the Grizzlies the last 4 games?
I think we will. Yeah, I would put it up around 70 to 80%. Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, we could lose against the Clippers, and the Suns could win their one bag. So I don't know. Like, there's still it's still hard to predict. There's still so much up in the air. I would go 65%. I go 65%. We get the 8th seed. I think that's a good number. That's 2 and 3 chance.
And you're saying facing the Lakers, right?
Yep. That we get
not
the
8th
seed.
Memphis. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Play-ins.
Yeah,
I think there is a 90% chance we get into the play-ins.
Yeah. I was saying 80%
point,
as making the play-in game as the 8th.
Got
seed.
you.
Yeah. So I think we're pretty much in the same boat there.
Interesting to put odds on that. Yeah. Curious to know what your guys' odds are. They're kind of around the same area. Of course, people saying 69%. But yeah, I couldn't be more pleased, man. Even though there has been some stuff that just boggles my mind. Even though we were handed a break by Denver here, because I'm not sure we win this game if they try to win it. Take what we can get, because we haven't had any breaks this year, So
it's
we'll
nice
take
to
any
be the
breaks
one receiving the breaks from us.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
You got the Kings beating the Pelicans, which I said was huge last night because the Kings play the Pelicans later. And honestly, I want the Kings to win. I want the Kings to stay. I'm not worried about the Pelicans though. Like at this point, the Pelicans are pretty much done. Like,
yeah,
is it too early to
they're
write
lost
them off?
today. No, probably not too early because they could still easily win out.
Uh
Um,
huh.
I think they have like the Wizards, Kings, um, like the
Wizards is
Spurs
one.
and Magic or something like that. So
Yeah.
they play four pretty weak teams from here on out. Um, so I wouldn't write them off completely yet, but yeah, it's looking like they've dug themselves a hole that they're not going to be able to make up ground to crawl out of.
Everybody was talking about how they were gonna make the playoffs, man.
I want to mention something that Chili Willy said, and I
Yeah.
mentioned this in the chat for the game today, is that the Clippers may want us to play the Lakers, so they might want us to be the 8 seed because
Ooh.
the harder the Lakers have to work to get out of the first round, the more to their advantage later on that could be. So
Uh huh.
if there's any chance of any
Uh
team
huh.
upsetting or taking the Lakers deep in the playoffs, I think the Blazers have the best chance to do that. I'm not saying we have the best chance we're going to beat them or anything. I'm just saying that if any team's going to upset them, I think that it would be us. From the Clippers' point of view, that would give them the toughest matchup. And the
Yeah.
Lakers themselves, several players on the Lakers have mentioned that as well. And so the Clippers might be thinking, this game is kind of important to us, but let's screw over the Lakers. Screw them, man. Like we're LA's team now.
A billion IQ, man. I hope the Clippers do that. That would be smart of them. They should. They should, because we helped them get a cushion over Denver with this game, so they could thank us for helping them get that cushion and providing them some leeway to put us in a position to give the Lakers a battle, which would benefit them. It's mutually beneficial for them to let us win this game. So I hope they do that. That's an interesting situation. Very interesting situation. Near zero. We will answer that question in a second. Thank you for the $5 donation. I just want to go over the games tomorrow. You got the games that are relevant to us. You got Spurs versus Jazz. Rooting for the Jazz, of
The
course.
Jazz, did you see their injury report?
Yeah, it's super big.
Donovan
Isn't it?
Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. I think their only starter that's playing is Ingles, maybe. All the other starters are.
That's brutal. So probably a win for the Spurs. The Grizzlies play the Thunder, which very tough game for the Grizzlies. Rooting for the Thunder. If the Thunder can beat the Grizzlies, we'll be tied. We'll be tied. Yeah. Over four. Like, if the Thunder beat the Grizzlies, they'd have 3 games left, right? And we'd have 4. We need one more win than them, with us playing 4 and them playing 3. So we'd be in an even better position if they lose this game.
Ash, that's not possible because if we go 4-0 from here on out and the Grizzlies go 0-4, there's still 3.5 games behind us, so they would trigger the play-in game. So no, it's not possible to do that.
Yep. I wish it was, but nah, it's not. And one of those teams would stay close enough to us, I bet. You got the Kings versus the Nets tomorrow, which I honestly want the Kings to win that game. Because I don't think the Kings have any chance of catching us, even if they win that game, which they should. It's the Nets, right? But I think the Pelicans still have it's a very slim chance, but I still think they have a slim chance of catching us, and they play the Kings later on. So if that game still mattered for the Kings against the Pelicans, I think that would be a good thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because then they'd be competitive against the Pelicans. I don't know if I'm just overthinking things here or what, but...
And let me just address the delusional Blazer fan thing. This is straight from LeBron's mouth. He doesn't want any part of the Blazers. Danny Green said it. There's been several Lakers who have said that Portland scares them the most, if they're being honest, about playoff matchups. So don't take it from 2 delusional playoff or YouTube clowns. Take it from the actual Lakers themselves.
I'm not going to give that kid any attention. That kid doesn't deserve any attention. It's 14 year. His mom's probably calling him because dinner's ready, or I don't know. It's a little bit late. Maybe he's in Hawaii or something. I don't know. It's actually probably past his bedtime. If he's a Celtics fan, he's probably from the East Coast, so it's probably past his bedtime. So his mom's probably gonna walk in and get mad that he's on his phone. So I'm not. I'll let his mother deal with that instead of giving him attention myself. Anyway.
Yeah, Kevin, it was just like LeBron said on a podcast. He's like, Dame can drop 30, CJ can drop 30, Melo can drop 30. Like, they have so many scorers. Like, they're dangerous in the playoffs. And Danny Green, I forgot what he said it on, but it was an interview a couple weeks ago. But yeah, you can just look up or Google it.
Yep. So you also have the Pelicans playing the Wizards tomorrow. So you got 3 Western Conference teams behind us with likely easy wins tomorrow. You got the Spurs against a super depleted Jazz team. You got the Kings against the Nets, and then you got the Pelicans against the Wizards. So probably not going to get much scoreboard luck, but really the most important game tomorrow is the Grizzlies game against the Thunder. That is the most important game tomorrow by far out of all those teams, I think. So go Thunder. They tip off at 1 p.m. By that time, we will have the final of the Spurs Jazz game, which I think isn't really up in the air. So really just that 1 p.m. game tomorrow will be important, and we'll recap that game with a stream tomorrow that will hopefully be on my end because hopefully my computer will be fixed by then. So, yeah, that's such a triggering issue. God. But anyway, adjust and adapt. So I want to answer Near Zero's question. He hit the question with the donation. If you guys donate, we will answer your questions. I know we missed some just because there's a lot of people in here, but the donations stand out.
Someone a long time ago asked about Gary Trent Jr.'s status for next year. He is under contract for 1 more year at a really cheap rate, a little over $1 million.
And then he's going to get paid.
And then he's a restricted free agent the year after. So we still have him for cheap next year. And then the year after that, he'll be a restricted free agent so we can match any offers. So we're not in danger of losing him anytime soon.
Bro, but there's so many teams in that 2021 free agency that have cap space that somebody's going to give him a huge offer sheet.
There's also a lot of big free agents.
Yeah, that's also true. But if those guys resign and there's a bunch of teams on the outside looking in, I could see him getting paid like $14 million a year or something crazy.
He is eligible for an extension this summer, so maybe you offer him an extension at a little bit of an overpay, but under what he could potentially get if he continued this streak all through next season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we're in any danger of losing him. And unlike Alan Crabb in that situation, Gary Trent plays on both ends of the court, so we don't have to worry about whether we want to pay that much to basically a glorified three-point shooter. This guy's getting it done on both ends.
Yep. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
For your contract offer sheet, what would be the most you'd match? Basically, let me word it better. For a 4-year contract, what would be the most you'd pay him per year?
I figured out how to put someone in timeout.
The laugh. Welcome to my world. It's fun, huh? It's fun having that much power over somebody.
Yeah. You're not going to come in here and just keep on bashing on Blazer fans.
Yeah.
But, so, matching when he's a restricted free agent or offering him this summer?
Based on what you've seen, what would be too much for him per year over a 4-year contract right now?
But are you talking about if we offered him an extension this summer?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I would probably offer him 4 years, $60 million or something this summer and see how he reacts to that. I'd probably go up a little bit too. If he didn't accept, I'd probably go up to maybe 17, 18. Yeah. And if he doesn't accept that, then I would just say, okay, we're willing to let you go to restricted free agency and see what kind of offers you match. Make you prove it. Because if he struggles next year, he's not going to get anywhere near that money. But yeah,
That's insane. That's a conversation with
Yeah,
the money being that large,
I might be a
But
little high, but like I said, you gotta kind of
hmm
because if you let him go to free agency and he signs like a max contract or a
yeah,
4 year $80 million contract, then you're stuck paying him way more than that. So I would probably I would probably start in the 10 to 15 million range and then go up from there.
yeah. Um, I wasn't really on Twitter this game, but I assume there was a lot of people talking about potentially trading CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
That talk is going to get louder and louder with the way Gary Trent Jr. is playing. Like it's inevitable. And honestly, for the first time, it might actually be justified.
Yeah.
Like, like Gary Trent Jr. is playing so well, and like he's a better, like his play style is a better fit at shooting guard. That the thing is, you don't want to like sacrifice the talent at that position just to get a better fit. That's not going to make you a better team. But Gary Trent Jr. looks so talented right now, looks so good right now that it's hard, man. It's hard. We'd still need another guy to be able to create effectively off the dribble, but it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Here's how I look at it. There's no reason why all three can't thrive
True.
on Portland. So unless you're in a situation where you trade CJ for a better player at a different position, which Aaron Gordon is not better than CJ. So like, yeah, I'm not even sure if Ben Simmons is better than CJ at this point in his career.
Yeah.
And definitely more injury prone.
I know what you don't do. You don't make CJ a sixth man.
Yeah.
You either trade him or you keep starting him. Like that's not an option with him here to make him a sixth man. He's too good to be a sixth man, and he's been in the starting role for far too long to be a sixth man. So if you like don't want him in the starting lineup because you want Trent, just trade CJ at that point.
And we're not trading CJ for Giannis. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And we're not.
We gotta shut up. Beavis and Butthead $10 donation says CJ Damon Trent is unstoppable. How dare you talk about trading any of them? Yeah. Thank you for the donation.
But see, that was going to be my second point. Is Trent can play small forward. It's not like he can't play small forward. It's not like Seth Curry last year, who was good at times for us, but we had trouble fitting him with Dame and CJ. Trent can play along those sides, and you saw him today where. Like he came in and guarded Michael Porter Jr. It's not like he was guarding the other team's point guard and we had to put like CJ on Michael Porter Jr. or Jokic or something and we were just all crazy mismatch. He can come in and play a fairly tall guy like that. He can guard the opposing team's point guard. I kind of agree with Ryan here. He says Gary's not ready to carry us in like a game 7 on the road. I agree, his shot creation in that type of game and the way our offense bogs down at times, we still need a guy like CJ who can bail us out of possessions. So I agree that I'd rather just keep all three of them unless you get an offer for a forward that's completely better. Like I wouldn't trade CJ for Tobias Harris or someone like that. I mean, the Bucks would never do this, but if you got like a Chris Middleton for him, then I'd maybe consider that. But yeah, I just think CJ, Dame, and Trent can play together. I think you got to give them some time. And then also, I mean, we haven't had our full team to show the capability of this team yet over a season. So, like, I still think you have to give Dame and CJ a legit chance with legit defenders at the 3 through 5 position. And if we have guys like Ariza, Trent, Collins, Nurk, maybe Whiteside, who knows. But like if we have those kind of defensive players around those two, I think even though a small backcourt hasn't really worked out in terms of NBA history, I still think it can work, and I'd still like to show it at its full capacity before completely writing it off. I'd also like to see both Dame and CJ with a different coach at some point, but that's another like I would rather trade out the coach and see if he can come up with something more creative to make it work versus just saying CJ is the problem, we need to get rid of him, because I don't necessarily think that's the case.
Yeah, I mean Gary Trent Jr.'s play style is like exactly what we needed from a three for the most part. The thing is, I do think we will at some point need like a super dynamic off the dribble player at one of our forward spots, like a guy who can give the ball, like a Siakam type of guy,
Yeah.
or some, or, like a Chris Middleton type of guy, even Paul George type of guy. Just a guy like at least a fringe All Star caliber player that you can give the ball and he can like create. And Gary Trent Jr. could definitely become that guy. I just think we're going to need that at one
Yeah.
of our forward positions. And,
Well,
it's not like a foregone conclusion that Gary Trent does become that guy over the next 3 to 4 years. Um,
but we could play like Nurk kind of with that role.
Yeah, but like he's nowhere near like the level of threat like a Siakam is or something
Right,
like
right.
that.
Yeah, I'm
So
not saying that, but like he can kind of run the offense through.
yeah, with Gary Trent Jr.'s emergence, like I'm almost wondering if like our upgrade instead of coming at small forward is going to come at it's going to have to come at power forward to get us into contention. Because I like Gary Trent Jr. long term better than Zach Collins, believe it or not. And I still like Zach, but he's still. I don't see like the upside in Zach like I do in Gary Trent Jr. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't. Uh, Zach could. Zach's a, like okay-ish starter, glue guy type of guy right now, but like I think we're gonna need more from that position, and I'm just not sure. I'm just not completely sold on Collins becoming like a really, really good starter. Um,
See,
so I think that might be the position.
I always think Zach gets a bad rep because he's never gonna put up like 20 and 10. That's just not his game. He just has good instincts, awareness. He's like a glue guy, and I think you do need one of those starters to be like that. And I mean, we have Dame, CJ. If Trent's our starting three moving forward, and we have Nurk, that's four guys who can make plays at all the other positions. So I'd rather have a guy who's more does the little things. Like I don't think we need all five guys in your starting lineup to be playmaker types.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I don't know. Like I just think I don't know. I just think we need another like super dynamic player next to Damon CJ, and I think Gary Trent Jr. would be more of the glue guy who could like step out and have 30-point games. You know what I mean? But like I think he's more like the perfect glue guy who's just more dynamic than Collins, and then the power forward would be like if we could find a Siakam type or something. Maybe Toronto declines over the next couple years, and then Siakam gets put on the trade block or something. Like that's like Siakam is the type of player I like. Put Siakam with Gary Trent Jr. as our forwards, we're a contender, 1,000%.
I agree with Thomas Saransky.
What
What's
did
up,
he say?
Tommy? Sadiq Bey.
Sadiq Bey at power forward? No,
Not a
Nope.
power forward. I just meant as like our dynamic wing.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead says, notice how you take Zach out of the game and things fall apart. The roster we have now is absolutely genuine, worthy, and capable of a chip. Well, who else is being taken out with Zach? A lot of times it's Nurkic. A lot of times it's one of our guards. So,
I think I still think Collins. Once again, we're kind of seeing this situation where Nurk came in, played great right off the bat off an injury, and I feel like we're being a little tough on Zach considering he missed so much time
yeah.
in the season. And it's not like he got cleared to play months ago and just didn't. He wasn't anywhere close to being cleared to actual play when the season shut down. So like he wasn't able to do full 5-on-5 until sometime after the training camp started to get ready for the bubble. So I think he's okay. People keep mentioning Jeremy Grant. He has a player option next year for what is going to likely be more than the mid-level exception. So I'm guessing that most players this season, with the cap likely going down and the uncertainty of what the coronavirus is going to do to the salary cap moving forward, whether or not we have fans next year, all that stuff, I think people are going to take the certainty of having a guaranteed contract for next year over possibly risking it in free agency, not getting a contract, and then having to sit out several years without a big contract and having to do 1 year make it or show it type contracts. So I expect guys like Jeremy Grant to opt in, even though he could probably maybe get more on the open market, but we can't pay him more than he would be opting out of. So he'd be opting out of that contract to sign for the same amount with us, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, and I don't know if a guy like that, like you're talking about needing another star playmaker type at the 4, where I don't think Jeremy Grant's that he's like a decent role player like Zach is. I think Zach is. I don't know. I kind of like Zach's upside and better than Jeremy Grant at this point. And you're kind of stunting Zach's growth a little bit if you bring in a guy like that. And then people are talking about trading for Drew. Well, first of all, Miami's not going to trade Jimmy Butler for CJ. That makes no sense for them. But Drew Holiday is at best a lateral move for CJ. Yes, he's better on the defensive end, but if you're talking about wanting to replace CJ with Gary Trent, you have that defensive guard there anyway. So like, Drew isn't as good on offensively as CJ. So like, you're just trading one problem for the other problem. And yeah, I just kind of want to see what this team can do over a full season healthy before we worry about making any like drastic changes or deciding that someone is definitely the problem.
Yeah, I mean, we should always be looking to make the roster better and take the next
absolutely.
step.
You always have to look at trades, but I would be looking at more like unfortunately he's kind of broke out this season, but guys like Mikal Bridges, where if Phoenix didn't get invited to this bubble, he might have been a guy who was like available for cheap because he's played 2 years and hasn't shown a lot yet, but the type of guy who could come in and be one of those wings that we need. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't just trade CJ because Trent's good now. Like, we don't need CJ anymore. I would only trade CJ if it severely upgraded the roster at another position. And it's not one of those where you just want to get a bunch of parts for CJ because that will make the sum lesser than the whole, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I agree on that. Aaron Gordon, hell no. Ben Simmons, hell no. So, yeah, I mean, there's not really an option out there like that, so it's kind of a moot point. I just think whichever one develops the best out of Trent and Collins, we keep, and then the other one we trade for a better player at that position. And I think right now it's far more likely that Trent is that guy. So I think, honestly, the move might be at some point, you keep CJ, you have Trent be your starting 3, and you trade Collins and maybe throw Simons in there, and, maybe we'll have a better contract situation with contracts that we're able to trade, and we sort something out that way. I just think that is like the end. That's going to end up being the end game, I think.
I know you're not going to want to hear this, but after listening to the comments after the Houston game, it made me think that they're really going to try to re-sign Melo this offseason. And they're going to offer him most, if not all, the MLE to do it.
Why? No, I'm not buying that. They're not that stupid. They're just hyping him up because he's on the team. I'm not accepting that.
All right. Yeah, it's possible. I'm just saying I got the impression that they're like Dame wants Melo to be around long term. And I'm not saying it's the right move. I would absolutely take Melo back if it was for the minimum and he accepted a role where he could contribute a little more in shorter spurts of time. But I just have a feeling that that's going to be the direction we take. But I don't know.
No, I don't agree. Because like Olshey could have probably signed him this past summer, and he waited until like our options were Hazonia and Tolliver. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
He might not have wanted to.
Maybe, but
because we probably said, how the whole we promised him a starting spot. So I'm guessing over the summer what happened was we were like, no, Collins is our long-term starter at power forward. I don't, like, he wouldn't be guaranteed a starting spot. Maybe he wasn't interested in that. Just like he wasn't interested in being traded to us a few years ago from New York when we actually had the pieces to make a trade for him. So it just became a point in the season where we had injuries and needed him and he needed us because he wasn't getting any other shots. So I don't know. Maybe it was just a point where he didn't want to come here. But yeah.
Yeah, he needs to go somewhere else.
He needs to go somewhere else. I think the perfect scenario would be if we offer him a contract, but he wants to go play in New York and finish the season in New York.
Yes.
So I think that would be the best of both worlds, because then we look good and we offered him a contract, but like he's just like, it's basically he's the one that wanted to move on, not us not wanting to do it. And I think that would make Dame happy that we at least tried to do it and all that stuff. But yeah, I got the feeling, because I was kind of on the fence whether we would keep Mo or not moving forward. But after the Houston game, now I think we're going to try and keep him, first of all. And like I said, you're not going to want to hear that, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Hell no. Hell no. What needs to happen, 1,000% needs to happen, is they need to trade their pick for Bielitsa in a second. That's what they need to do. And have Bielitsa off the bench in that role. Because what that does is that leaves you in a situation where you don't have to. It's not a problem if you don't re-sign Whiteside, because you have 8 of the 9 rotation spots filled, right? You got the starting lineup. You got Dame, CJ, Ariza, Collins, Nurkic. Then you got 3 bench spots filled. You got Trent, Hood, Bielitsa. You just need a center, right? We'd still have the mid-level exception in that scenario. So Whiteside could walk, and we could sign somebody who would be better as a backup center. And their contract would be tradable if we signed them to like a 1-year. Can you use the MLE and sign somebody to a 1-year contract, MLE-wise?
Yes.
Yeah, you could sign somebody to a 1-year contract, and that would be a $10 million expiring. Well, or you could re-sign Whiteside and not even use the mid-level exception if you wanted. But if he left, you could easily replace him without sacrificing the ability to replace another spot, because you have the other 8 spots filled.
Yeah, I think my problem is we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, because if the cap goes down to like $100 million or something, and then the luxury tax is much lower, then we're not going to have the money. I doubt they'd lower
the luxury tax that much to punish teams. Like, even if the salary cap goes down, like, you're punishing teams that were trying to like plan for a certain luxury tax line. So I think they just create more leeway if that happened.
But I mean, that's all tied to revenue from the season before. So unless they do something to change it or smooth it out over the course of several years, I
think they'd still be under the tax if the tax went down like 10 mil. They'd have room in that scenario.
Yeah, just using the full mid-level exception and the trade exception would be making it really close. But yeah,
you'd be let Whiteside walk, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what I want. That is what I want more than anything. Like, it's such, like, it provides you with a 40% 3-point shooter off the bench, who I think is just a great fit with that bench lineup, just a great fit on this team, smart guy. And you provide yourself a situation where Whiteside can walk and you're not any worse from it. The thing is, if we don't, if we draft somebody who's not ready to play with that 14th pick, then we got to use the mid-level exception on that backup power forward spot. And then if Whiteside walks, then we're kind of screwed at backup center. We have 2 spots to fill if Whiteside walks. That's why it's like, if we could use the trade exception to fill that backup power forward spot with a guy who's better than Melo and a better fit for this team than Melo, that's what I want. That is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. And this is why I was so mad on trade deadline day that we kept us on, is we're stuck in a situation now where we basically lose a trade asset moving forward because we didn't trade him, even if it would have been for worse players on that had 1 more year left on their contract. Then we could be talking about all these other trade opportunities we'd be opening up this summer versus the money situation not working out and then losing Whiteside for nothing, all that kind of stuff. So it's just frustrating.
Kevin Reese, neither of those players can be traded. They're both free agents this summer.
Chris keeps asking who is Beavis, and I don't. He's just a person in the chat.
He's Beavis and Butthead. Who is like your favorite? If Whiteside walks and you have the full mid-level exception to spend on a backup center to replace him, who's like your favorite center on the free agent market to replace Whiteside with?
My absolute ideal one would be Ibaka. but I
Yeah.
don't think he would sign for that low. And Toronto has his
Hmm.
bird rights, and I think, especially with the success this year, they'll probably try to keep that team together moving
Yep.
forward. Um, and then I'd probably look into like the Baines type guys, like Aaron
Hmm.
Baines type. I
Baines
think
would be
would be
fun.
a good backup. Um, and he's not someone who would like just
Hmm.
completely be a mess not starting. I think he would be fine. Um, Trying to think of other ones. I mean, Favors hasn't played well in the bubble, but he might be a decent backup.
Oh, he'd be a great backup, I think. I'd rather have Favors than Baines.
Um,
But
yeah, those are
that's my
those are
entire
two
point.
those are two guys that we could get. But like,
If you had a bench of Trent Hood, Bielitsa, and Derek Favors, that's a top five bench in the NBA.
yeah, it's not bad. I don't know, it's pretty good. I
Yeah.
just don't, like I said, I don't know if they're gonna. Yeah, I'm really high on a couple guys in the draft too. So that's why
But I
I
mean, if
would.
we have like Hood long term, we have Trent long term, we have
I know.
CJ long term, like I have a hard time seeing those guys really get much of an opportunity. Trent had a hole to step up into. It's just I don't know. I have a time seeing like Aaron Nesmith having more potential than Gary Trent Jr. I think Gary Trent Jr. is a better like prospect young core guy than like Aaron Nesmith right now. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay,
But
so if Gary Trent Jr. is like a long term answer at one of the wing positions, I don't know. Like, yeah, we could use another wing off the bench, but still, I'd rather go get a guy who's ready to play right now. We know he's proven
I
than
just
like a Bielitsa.
I just look at it like, if Naismith is as good of a shooter as I think he's going to be, and then you have Trent and Hood, like that's shooting CJ. We have guards and wings that can shoot all day. Like
Yeah,
that's like a huge weapon to have. I don't think you can have enough shooting. But
yeah. You
that's
could
my
always
opinion.
sign a. You could always like.
And,
It's easier to find shooting at the wings though. But
and
like, Bielitsa's like a 40% 3-point shooting stretch four. So if you want shooting,
yeah, I just don't like his defense on this team. I don't know, like because
I mean, I would say he's a
you
better defender than Melo. you know.
well, yeah, okay,
So that's why it's like that's why I
but
want that to happen. That would mean
but
Melo's not coming back, and that's a better option.
like, see, you put Michael Jordan in the Gallinari category. I put Bielitsa as like a poor
But
man's Gallinari,
the
Michael Porter
Gallinari,
Jr.
Michael Jordan in the Gallinari
But I mean, that would
category.
be a good backup. I just don't know both the way what that would do to us financially and giving away a pick. Yeah, just
I mean
well, I don't
that's
even know
serious
if
move.
Sacramento would trade him too, because like
They have a
Divac,
log jam of young
Divac,
bigs though.
Divac loves him though. I think it's more
Yeah, but if
likely
you're getting a
they.
lotto pick,
I think it's more likely they end up trading Bagley, just because he's been so injury prone.
I don't think they do that. I think they wait on him because you're not going to get anywhere near the value, and that would make them look terrible if they
But
traded
that's
him. So I
but
think they'd rather trade the older guy.
it's the
They get a
Kings
lot
though.
of picks.
Kings are gonna king.
Yeah, I think they're. I think there's a decent chance they trade Bailey. So they got a log jam of a lot of young bigs, and really what they need is for those young bigs to break out and to give those young bigs playing time to develop. So that's why I think Bielitsa will be the one who's traded because I think Bielitsa could also like fetch the most like young value, because Bielitsa is the player who's going to help a contending team most right now. So I think, and a contending team is most likely to give up young assets or picks because they're contending right now. So they're more worried about right now than the future. So I think Bielitsa is the guy who gets traded if a front court guy gets traded from there.
I just remember hearing that because Bielitsa had a deal with, was it Philly? I think he had a deal with Philly and he backed out of it,
Yeah.
verbal agreement to sign with them during the moratorium, and then signed with Sacramento. And I mean, this was 2 or 3 years ago now, but or 2 years ago. But I heard at the time that Divac promised him that he would have a no trade clause, even though he doesn't.
Yeah.
He can't
That was
actually
also 2 years
give him
ago.
to,
And
yeah.
I think Bielitsa would want to be here. We got I don't know how close he is with Nurkic, but winning team, good culture. I think Bielitsa would be
Yeah.
cool, with being traded here. So
But yeah,
Interesting. But that would be the move I would try if I was Neil Olshey. That would be 1,000% what I'd look into.
I still
Because I think
feel
if you
like
had that bench, we'd be a contender.
I still feel like we have to keep Hassan just because of the. I mean, we talked about all these other center opportunities. Alvaro brought up another one, Boogie Cousins, who would also be interesting if we had our full mid-level exception to offer him.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten anywhere close to that in free agency. He was hurt again this year.
1 year,
again. Yeah. So
that's what I did in our mock offseason. A 1 year prove it contract, right? If he's hurt, he's a 1 year expiring that you could use as tradable salary, right? If you give Hassan Whiteside a 1 year, $10 million contract, he has a no trade clause. If you go out and sign a Boogie Cousins to like a 1 year, $10 million contract, mid-level exception, he doesn't have a no trade clause. So you could use his salary. Even if Boogie Cousins doesn't pan out or gets hurt again, you could use his salary and that team could waive him because he isn't expiring. So, or Boogie Cousins plays really well, because the thing is, even like the limited amount of time he played for Golden State, he was still playing very well. He's still beat just a phenomenal backup center, and he can do some of the same things Nurkic can do, like a little bit of outside shooting, even though Boogie has regressed a little bit, but he used to do that. And he can pass, and he can handle the ball a little bit, so he can do a lot of things that Nurkic can do. So you could kind of have the same type of backup as you have with like Nurkic being the starter. So I don't know, that would be very intriguing.
Yeah, the only problem I wonder there is the same problem we'd have with Whiteside, is like, if he starts playing well, does he become a problem because he thinks he deserves more minutes than he's getting and all that. And I know, like you said, you could trade him, or that would be a good trade asset at that point. But I just don't know.
Flexibility. So like having like Bielitsa expiring contract, $7 million. Cousins expiring contract, $10 million tradable. Ariza, $12 million expiring contract. That would put us in a good position at the trade deadline that following year.
Yep. And we know that Cousins has wanted to sign here in the past. I don't know if he wants to remain a Laker or not. But yeah, I kind of feel like whoever shows him love will definitely be the front runners for him this year, because he's coming off 2 or maybe 3 free agencies now in a row where he's gotten nothing more than the mid-level exception. The tax mid-level exception is the best offer he's gotten. I think he signed for the biannual exception with the Lakers this year. So like no team has even come close to offering him a contract. So and Kevin brings up that maybe he notices what Melo's doing with the Blazers, and that's definitely interesting. The problem is, we could talk all day about all these other centers. Yes, I do think the free agency signing in Portland is a little overblown, especially with how little teams are going to have cap space to offer more than what we can offer if we have the full mid-level exception. But at the same time, Hassan, we can sign him for any amount. Like, we're guaranteed to keep him if we wanted to sign him, whereas we can still get outbid for a lot of these other guys, or they could go to better situations for them, knowing that Nurk is the starter already.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to sign one of those guys, even if we did go that route. So I'm a little apprehensive about going fully on board, just giving up on Hassan right now, but I just don't like losing assets for nothing, and that was the whole point of not trading him at the deadline, and just makes me so mad still that we.
But if that was the only position we had to fill, and we still had our mid-level exception left, it wouldn't be really losing him for nothing if we replaced him with a guy who might be better in that role, and also could be expiring contract that would actually be tradable compared to Hassan having a no trade clause. So that's why I want that Bielitsa trade, just because of the options it provide us.
Get to 2 donations. Blazer Tay, got a $2 donation. What's our highest pick we can get if we don't make the playoffs, and Memphis also doesn't make the playoffs? The highest.
No, even if we. Oh yeah, that's right.
If Memphis didn't make the playoffs, the highest pick we can get is 13. If we make the playoffs, we'd be somewhere between 15 and 17, depending on our records compared to Orlando and Brooklyn.
So that would be the good thing if we were playing a team other than Memphis in the playing game, because if we lose, we'd be 13th. If we win, we'd be in the playoffs, obviously. So,
But 13 to 17 is the max. 13 is the highest we can get in the lottery, at least. Obviously,
Yeah.
you'd have like a 1.5% chance of moving into the top four or whatever. But yeah, 13th through 17th would be the best we can do there. And then
Oh,
JJ LaFont, what's up, man? He
JJ
said,
LaFront said, "Would you guys trade for Kelly Oubre?" Sorry, I beat you to that. Beat you to it. Would we trade for Kelly Oubre? Eh. I don't know. With Gary Trent's emergence, it's kind of like made the need for Kelly Oubre less, and he's just an erratic player and not super consistent, so he's kind of a hard guy to rely on him. So I don't know. That's I've kind of soured on that.
here's the problem. Basically, the only player that like kind of matches him is if we pick up Ariza's option. And then you're saying so Riza and a first or something for Ubre. Like I don't see why Phoenix would do that because
Yeah.
they had Ariza already and it didn't go very well. They've had Ubre's been pretty good for them so far, so I don't see why they would want another mid-teens pick. They're trying to build off and take that next step. I think they might actually have some cap space this summer, depending what the cap number is as well. So I don't see them like being interested in the 15th pick and Ariza for a guy like Ubre who's still young and has some potential.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting that they are doing this all without Kelly Oubre. Maybe that's telling. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I do have to.
Hi, Mom.
I do have to go. You can keep streaming if you want, but I do have to go. DoorDash is offering like extra bonus pay right now, and I'm kind of behind this week, so I do gotta go chase that. But if you do, you want to keep streaming?
I'll leave it up to chat. Should we?
Because you could switch over to like your other scene, because it's still popping, which I hate to leave it right now, but also, you know, got to work for DoorDash since that's what I'm going to use as my proof of income when I move out. I wish I could use YouTube donations. I'd just stay here because you guys are killing it with the support.
I'm gonna keep going because I do want to answer. I'm so sorry, Near 012. We skipped over your Dame off the ball question. I want to get to that. We never really talked about it.
Yeah, we can touch on that more in tomorrow's stream over on Blazers Uprise Live as well. I honestly missed out big parts of the first half, so I didn't really lock into the game at any point. So honestly, I probably wouldn't even be the best person to ask. But Eric was more locked in. I was trying to figure out my setup and all that. So, I'll watch the highlights back and give you a better answer tomorrow. That's something we can talk about on stream too, and Eric can answer that right now. But I gotta go.
Sorry. Have a good night, man.
Yeah, man. Just switch over the scene. I'm sure you know how to do that. And
here, I'll just do it while you're here.
Yep. And everything should be good. There you go. You're beautiful, beautiful. So anyway, thank you guys. I'll catch you guys later. I'll still listen, and you can be my entertainment while I work. That sounds fun to me. So anyway, sorry about the watch party being all scuffed earlier, and I will try and sort out my computer issues and throw on a better one later this season. It was good that the Blazers got a win.
I'm frozen. How do I unfreeze myself?
Oh, I don't know. Go to your webcam. Go to your webcam and hit properties, and then switch the webcam. Then switch it back.
On what?
On
OBS?
Yeah. Yep.
Video.
I don't know why I did that. So
switch to...
And then
There
if you
we
switch
go.
it.
There we go.
There
I
you
think
go.
it's good.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, got you. So anyway, yeah, good that the Blazers took care of this game. They're in a good position right now. So I will catch you guys tomorrow. We'll be on stream. Hopefully it will be on my end with my computer being fixed. I gotta sort that out tomorrow. But until next time, keep chilling here with Eric. Don't click off because I'm leaving. I know you guys watch this channel for Eric, not me, so I don't expect you to. But don't turn away. I'll be listening. I'll be in chat. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. As always, peace out. Go Blazers. I'm out.
Bye, Tori. Have a good one. What's up, Golden Arcade 9? All right, how's everyone doing? Back in my element here. It's a little weird running the stream today because usually Tori runs it from his computer, so I have access. I can use my internet, look up stuff. So I had to have my screen completely still and not touch anything, so it was a little hard to to do things. But yeah, I'm in my garage right now because people are here, and then I didn't know how late we'd be streaming, so I wanted to not stream in my bedroom and have people not be able to go to bed if they wanted to. So yeah, I'm just chilling in my garage right now. Um, Super quiet. Is it super quiet for everyone? All right, let me try to figure this out. Let me. I'm gonna take my earphones out. Maybe that'll help. Now that I don't need those in anymore. Do I just need to talk louder? Maybe. Could you hear my kids screaming inside the house? DW Eric, I don't know what that means. Is it okay now? I'll just keep talking. I'll try to talk louder. Um can't hear kids. Uh Malcolm says, "What is the absolute best trade possibility if a superstar requested a trade?" Um That's a tough one. I think maybe a guy like Cat would probably be the best possibility, but I don't think he will request a trade since they traded for D'Angelo Russell. Um, Trying to think. I mean, like obviously, if a guy like Siakam or Tatum or someone like that requested a trade, that would be um, absolutely perfect. But yeah, not Kyrie. Sorry. um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, you know, Paul George or Kawhi, like most of those guys aren't going to request a trade. So, um, yeah. So let me get to the Dame off the ball. I didn't feel like they used him off the ball that much in this game. There were times where he passes it up, and there's a lot of times where he has CJ bring the ball up the court. So I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch some parts of it, but I didn't feel like Dame was a lot off the ball today. Um, they did have some situations where, uh, like off an offensive rebound, or like when Dame passes the ball and it kind of breaks the offense breaks down and then it swings back to Dame. It's always surprising. Can't hear. All right, can people hear me? Is it okay? Okay. But oh man, I see how you guys are. Tori leaves and we drop down to 88 viewers. Thanks a lot. Anyways, doesn't matter. But yeah, like whenever Dame gets a pass like on the wing and he's wide open off the ball, like it's always so surprising to me because Dame is one of those guys who has to work for all 30 of his points or whatever he scores. Um, so, oh, Tori's got 30 burners. Yeah. Yeah, the real 88 ones are still in here. I got you guys. Um, but yeah, so I feel like we could use Dame a lot better off the ball, and I wish he would just get some easy shots every once in a while. But it's really hard to get him get him to play off ball because you also want the ball in his hands because he makes good decisions and he had 12 assists tonight. So it's hard to argue with him bringing the ball up the court, but yeah, it would be nice if every once in a while you could take a little bit of pressure off of him. Trevin came back. Where were you, Trevin? Yeah, like the Warriors use Steph off the ball a lot, and he's always moving off the ball. We have a little bit more stagnant movement. There's not a lot of like screens off ball or movement other than that stupid move where you're coming from like the sideline baseline area and going out towards the top. But whenever you catch the ball off that, you're usually going away from the basket, so it doesn't necessarily result in clean looks all the time. So I just wish there would be ways to more creatively get him the ball. I talked about this after last game where we had Seth Curry last year who would come in the game and hit a three, and he shot like 44% from three last year or something crazy like that. And then he wouldn't see the ball for like 5 minutes, and then he would sub out and he'd be 1 for 1 from three or whatever. And it was just frustrating that we don't have ways to get shooters the ball in rhythm. And it's crazy to say because Trent got 10 threes today, and a lot of them were wide open. But yeah, so I just wish like when Trent's on fire, we would just keep running plays for him, because the only really way Trent's getting open is this is the beauty of why you don't want to trade CJ necessarily, especially for a lateral move, is because having him and Dame on the court and a guy like Melo, even though he's not necessarily the most efficient player, the defense just gravitates towards those guys. And you saw time and time again where the defense leaves someone and it's Trent. And they're going to have to not do that in the future. But so when they stop leaving him and start realizing that you cannot leave, I mean, like Kyle Korver, I mean, can you imagine, or like JJ Redick or Ray Allen, like, can you imagine other teams like thinking, oh, let's leave him to go double team someone else, you know? So if Gary Trent keeps shooting at this rate, it's going to really open up the offense. But I'm worried about when they stop leaving him open, if he's just going to not get as many attempts throughout the game, because we don't really design plays specifically to get him open. It's just the result of what the other players are doing, creating playmaking opportunities for him. So I wish we had a better system set up, like this is a classic play that like every high school team runs, where you start in one corner and like the two bigs are down by the blocks, and you run off both screens and run to the opposite corner, and like you're either open or someone has to move off on you, and then you have a small guy on a big man. Like we don't really run a lot of that kind of offense off the ball. Whereas like EW0 mentions Duncan Robinson, they're constantly setting picks for him and trying to get him an open shot off ball. So I think as Gary Trent gets more and more attention from the defense, that we're going to have to start finding more creative ways to get him the ball. But the plus side about that is if they stop leaving Gary open, it's going to leave that much more room for Dame to penetrate, for Melo to get his shots, for CJ to get into the mid-range. And so that's going to open up the offense for all of them. So there's no negatives about what Gary Trent's doing right now. But yeah, you can't really, and that's what's great about our normal starting lineup. Like, I guess they might have to start leaving Collins open. So if he can start knocking down threes, and then just when he's open, just going rim running to the hoop, and then you just dump, like Dame gets in the lane, dumps it off to him for a dunk. And that's what I'm saying earlier, that we just need these guys like Zach and Nurk to just attack the rim and try to dunk the ball. And yeah, Melo should be attacking the rim more too, instead of settling for jumpers. But yeah, like overall, the offense is fine. ISO, if we have a guy like Trent spacing the floor like that, But yeah, I'm just worried about when we play super good defensive teams. Luckily, we don't play Toronto in this, but they're really good at rotating off ball. So we wouldn't get as clean of looks. A team like the Clippers is going to be a really big test for our defense. So yeah, like hopefully, we'll see on Saturday if Trent can stay hot from three. It's gonna draw some attention. And we had a game last year, just to point out what I'm talking about is the game where Layman scored like 20 points in a quarter. It was against the Pelicans, and they actually took Drew Holiday off of Damian Lillard to guard Jake Layman. That's how hot he was that game. And stuff like that, it doesn't show anywhere in a box score other than how many points Layman scored. But just the fact that New Orleans had to change their entire defensive plan on Damian Lillard just to guard Jake Layman, I mean, stuff like that makes the entire difference on an offense. And guys like Damian Lillard will just eat that up if he doesn't have as much attention on him. And you saw time and time again in this game where Trent was kind of so Dame would dribble up one side of the court and Trent was on the top 3-point line on the other side, and you could see his man just kind of sagging off him, and Dame drives right into that guy and makes him make a decision: do I stop Damian or do I stay out on Trent? And then Dame just kicks out to Trent and he's wide open. So defenses are going to have to try to adjust how they handle those situations. Like I said, I just wish we were a little more creative on getting open shots when the game does bog down into more of a half-court offense. Yeah, I wish we still had Layman. He'd be pretty good to have right now. Nothing we can do about that now, I guess. But I do appreciate. So I have to give Stotts credit. He made the switch to not play Hazonia the last two games. Not that Hazonia was like awful, I guess. It's just there's no way he should have been the first off the bench in the Boston game. That was a huge mistake. Trent deserved that role. He deserved to be the substitution there. Could have moved Melo to the 4 when Collins got into foul trouble. And who knows what would have happened if we might not even gotten down close to 20 points, and we might have won that game. And we're talking about right now being ahead of Memphis in the standings and in the complete driver's seat for that 8th spot. But Stotts did make the decision to give Ant some spot minutes after not playing him in the first two games. I feel like Ant has done a solid job. Like, he hasn't done anything great, but he hasn't done anything super bad either, and I think that's perfect for his role. But yeah, so I'm interested to see how they handle the offense moving forward. And this is why I don't like the Melo post-ups and mid-range, is because I feel like there's so many options right now. I'd rather have Melo spotting up on the opposite 3 of Gary Trent, and then you have a corner shooter. I mean, Melo shot like 38% this year, so I feel like that's a better I saw a stat that he's actually shooting like 1.18 or 9 points per possession on spot-up 3-point shots this year versus his mid-range post-ups, it's like 0.89 or something. So that's quite a bit of difference between like how many times he shoots in those situations scoring versus the other one. So I'd rather him be the most efficient as possible. But if you have like Dame driving with CJ, Melo and Trent spot out on the 3-point lines, and you have Nurk, down low ready for a dump pass, I mean, that offense could be lethal. And I hope they do more of that instead of just like force feeding touches to certain players at certain points in the game. And then so this is the frustrating thing about Stotts too, is we saw him try a different defense, or it wasn't a different defense, it was the same defense he employed during the Houston game earlier in the season, which is basically like you have one guy that's for sure guarding Harden as he brings it up, and then you have another guy right behind him ready to double team Harden as soon as he dribbles up. Yep, I'm a Melo hater. But that's the frustrating part is it works against Houston. It's worked multiple times against Houston now, but we don't try anything different against other players that are similar or in similar situations, and that's the most frustrating part to me. Um, but yeah, we let some. Tori and I talked about this during the game. Like PJ Dozier, that guy's a career like low 20% 3 point shooter. That's like worse than Evan Turner. So there's no reason to get caught going over the picks and allowing him to penetrate versus just going under and making him shoot a three. And that's what we did a lot of in this game. And then if he gets around that pick and is going downhill towards the hoop, then he can pass off to their big guys because they do have really athletic guys who can finish. So it's just weird to me that we only try different stuff against Houston seemingly. I wish we would try that more often. Not necessarily that same defense, just more of a strategic game plan based on the opposing team and what they like to do versus just going back to our base defense in most situations. And yeah, Hassan helps a lot for no reason. It's very true. And there's times where, like Nurk had a block and a steal off of plays where Whiteside would have been waiting for the guy to shoot it before, and he would have just been going for the block, and that then the pass is wide open to his man. But Nurk kind of waits till he shoots to block the shot and has his hands up in situations where it's make a difficult pass to his guy. So yeah, it's not even like the biggest differences in their game, but it makes such a big difference overall in the course of a game where you have several plays that break down because of one person versus in the other situation it's a steal or a deflection or they don't get a clean shot off because of that. So yeah, Hassan, that's a perfect example. Is Hassan was right up in Cantor's face in 15 feet away from the hoop on the baseline against Cantor. Cantor pump fakes, gets Hassan in the air. He goes right around him, and then Collins has to come over and gets his third foul or fourth foul really early in that game. And then it kind of ruins our whole rotations stuff, our lineups. And he had one tonight too where I forgot who it was, but he bid on a pump fake, and then someone went like up and under and got an and one. Nurk did that too today, but yeah, it's like when you're that long, you don't always have to block the shot, and that's the difference between Nurk and Hassan too. Is Nurk affects so many more shots just from a presence, but it also makes it so he's not out of position, but he still affected the shot. Whereas Whiteside may block more shots and affect more shots maybe, but he's not in the right position because of that. So yeah, it's frustrating to me because like I said, I feel like we still have to keep Whiteside, but like I don't think it's going to work out with both him and Nurk here. Yeah, someone asked me earlier if we would have won any, like if we needed Whiteside to be in this position that we're in right now, and my answer to that is with the shutdown of the season, there was no way to know that, but Nurk was scheduled to come back, a couple days after the season shut down, so we had the opportunity to. We could have traded Whiteside and then it wouldn't have mattered because we had Zach and Nurk back by now. But we also wouldn't have had to trade Scal necessarily. We could have picked up a guy. Well, we could have gotten a center back for him. Like I proposed, like I think it was like Whiteside and a first, and but this is back when we weren't close to the 8 seed, so we could have traded like Whiteside and a first for like Baines and Oubre. something like that. I don't know if Phoenix would have done that. Probably not, because I was discussing that earlier. But they had like Tyler Johnson or whatever, so you could have traded like Whiteside for Tyler Johnson and Aaron Baines, and then we'd have Baines rights right now, but Baines could have been our starting forward until Nurk was back, and I don't think we would have lost out on that much in the meantime. And then you could flip Tyler Johnson in a first, since he's an expiring contract, for someone else, and we could have gotten completely under the luxury tax making trades that way versus having to give up Skell and still not making it under the salary or under the luxury tax. And I'm not saying Tyler Johnson would have helped this team at all. I'm just saying that was a contract to make it work. But like basically, we would have been trading Whiteside for Aaron Baines. But yeah, so William says no way Melo asked for more than $2 million to stay. I think Melo's going to ask for a lot more than $2 million. Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to think he deserves a lot of money based on what he's doing. I mean, you see how much hype he's getting on some of these games. What's up, NBA Forever? But yeah, back to my original point. I don't think Dame played off the ball that much. I think it was more just chaotic situations or off offensive rebounds. I could be wrong on that, but I'll have to go back and take a look. Yeah, and I think even if you paid Melo a lot of money, I'm guessing at most it would be a 1 year, maybe 2 year deal. So I don't think they would give him like a 4 year deal or anything like that. But you saw the way Dame talked about him. I'm pretty sure they're gonna offer him a contract. But yeah, let's be done with the Whiteside hate. Yeah, I'm sick of talking about that guy. But what else do you guys want to talk about? Joel says if we traded Whiteside at the trade deadline, we wouldn't have made the bubble. I don't know. We didn't have a lot of games in between there. Like I said, we could have picked up someone else. Yep, I already talked about Simons a lot, Destrom. But what's up, man? Defensive rotations, they were okay. I feel like we didn't fall asleep off ball as much as we did in the previous games, but I still think we got to clean it up a little bit. I mean, giving up 115 when Denver's without like 6 players and Jokic barely plays, it's not good. Yeah, it was so frustrating. It's like every time we got up 13, they'd hit a 3 and cut it back down to 10. Or then in the second half, it was like every time we got up 12, they'd hit a 3 and cut it back to 9. And it's like we can never just get that stop to like go back and then hit another Dame 3, and then we'd be up 15 or 16, and the game would be pretty much over. Like, we just can't pull away from teams. It's so frustrating. And it's mainly because we can't get a stop on the defensive end, and we just start trading buckets. Thanks for the donation, Beavis and Butthead. I'm sure Tori will appreciate it. He says, go through each position's depth on the roster. So what do you mean? Like point guard, we have Dame and Simons. Shooting guard, we have CJ and Trent. Small forward right now, we have Melo, and no one else is really playing other than Trent, who can play both shooting guard and small forward. Power forward, we have Collins, and then Melo, the backup 4, I guess. And then we have Nurk and Whiteside. Is that what you mean? All right, since you donated, I guess. So, I mean, obviously, Dame is a top 10 player in the league. He's really good. Simons is still young. He's done okay. CJ is an elite shot creator, below average defender. Trent's on fire right now. He's 3-point shooter and defensive player. Melo is Melo. Um, one of the best scorers of all time. Little past his prime. Can't quite do the things he used to do for a full game, but as you've seen a couple games in this bubble, can still show flashes of his former self. And then Collins is still young, but like we talked about, is a glue guy who I think still has some potential and fits really well with the rest of the starters. Nurk's been like, I can't believe how great Nurk's played. Especially coming off the injury and basically not showing any rust. I think that, like I said, is a little unfair to Collins that we're giving all this love to Nurk and hating on Collins right now when like it's more likely that players coming off an injury are more like Zach than Nurk's showing. And then Whiteside's had a few good minutes, but obviously is not happy coming off the bench. So yeah, pretty good depth right now, even though we're only playing 8 players. It'd be nice to have Ariza and just have like one extra guy on the wing, a small forward type. But yeah, we talked about that NBA forever, how Nurk just needs to go up stronger. But I mean, like I said, this is his 4th game back from a devastating injury. He was a little tentative on some of his shots tonight, but yeah, he'll get that back. You just wanted to prove a point how stocked we are right now, but that's still only like 7 deep, our roster. So we need, obviously, having Hood and Ariza, and we're super stacked. So yeah. Yeah, Nurk did have. It was weird because like all his dunks were amazing. And it's like, why don't you just do that more often? And then he'd do a little flip shot and he'd be like, no. But yeah, he did absolutely poster bull. And that was awesome. Who will go up against AD in round 1? I'm guessing Collins will probably get the initial matchup on him, and then he'll have 2 fouls in the first few minutes, and then we'll have to switch someone else on him. But yeah, might try Nurk on him a little bit. Yeah, Melo on him is probably be. That's tough. Yeah, maybe Gabriel gets a chance in that one because AD still had a tremendous game that game. Gabriel started against him, but Gabriel at least slowed him down a little bit. But yeah, probably gonna have to put Melo on Braun to start the game. Yeah, those two we don't match up well with the Lakers. I feel like every other position we do match up well. But yeah, those two are not a good matchup, as they are that's a tough matchup for almost every team. I mean, those 2 top 10 players in this league. Yeah, Kyle, I agree. Hopefully Stott's game plans for that, but it's gonna be really hard. Hopefully their shooting our shooting's been bad in the bubble, their 3-point shooting. That if that continues, I think that helps us a lot because obviously we struggle against the 3-point shooting. So I mean, even tonight, Denver was 14-28, 50% shooting threes. So that's not good. Usually you lose, but on the flip side, we shooting 59% for threes like we did tonight. Usually you blow teams out that way. So it's kind of frustrating that we shot that well from 3. We have a historic performance in the franchise, the most threes we've ever made in a game, and we still came down to the end with the shorthanded Nuggets. So that's not great. But yeah, Ariza would be good to have on LeBron. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Yeah, Denver actually shot over 52% in this game, 44 of 84. So our defense, I guess, was not very good. Thankfully, we only had 9 turnovers tonight. That's great. If we keep that number under 10, that bodes really well for us. Um, so yeah, that's good. Who's gonna guard Jared Dudley? Yeah, just leave him alone. I saw him brick some wide open threes today, or at least one. But yeah, the tough part is a team like that. You have two phenomenal players, and then you. But yeah, let's wait until we arise at that problem before we get too far into it, because we still have to take care of business, and I would hate to see them start looking ahead now that Memphis is faltering. I hope they still keep the energy that every game is a playoff game and that we need to win these games. Because yeah, the Clippers haven't looked great. I mean, they've looked good at times, and then they've looked pretty average at times. So I want to see how that game comes out on Friday or Saturday, excuse me. It'll also be interesting playing that early, because the game's at 10 in the morning, and I know it's 1 o'clock there, but it's like really early for like West Coast, and thankfully it's against another West Coast team, so you don't have too big of a disadvantage. But if any of you play pickup, it's always a little different playing at, like, if you get up in the morning and go play a pickup game versus playing a game at night. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, Avery Bradley opted out of this, so he is not eligible to play. They have Rajon Rondo, who is there with them, so as soon as he's healthy, he can play. But I think it's going to be later in the playoffs before he's eligible to play or available coming off that injury. So yeah, they're pretty thin. They got Caruso, Quinn Cook, KCP, Danny Green at the guard position. Those guys can get hot, but yeah, they're definitely their depth and their supporting role players are the issue right now for them. Right now it's looking like we're gonna play the Suns. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm fine playing any team as long as it's us as the 8 seed and only needed to win one game. But Memphis is still like 2.5 games above Phoenix, so I think they're still gonna hold on. They just need to win like 1 or 2 games. But could you explain how the seeding games work? You mean the playing game? Uh, yeah. So the playing game is, so it's mathematically impossible for us to be 4 games ahead of Memphis. So um, if the ninth place team is within 4 games of the 8th place team, it triggers a play-in series. And the team in 8th place only has to win 1 out of 2 games. So if they win the first one, it's over. If they lose the first one, they still have another chance. So that means the 9th seed has to beat the 8th seed 2 games in a row in order to upset them and knock them out of the 8th seed and then take over as the 8th seed. So, and it can only be one other team. So who's ever in the 8th seed will only have to play one team, even if all of them are within 4 games. It's only whoever is the highest and has the 9th seed. So yeah, Memphis or Phoenix right now are looking like the most likely. But the Grizzlies still have 4 easy games, so I think they can still win out. So it might be them as well. Ash, what's not possible? Yeah, that's what I said. I said even if there were multiple teams within the the 4 games for that seed, that there would be, yeah. Let's play guess Tori's passwords again, Eric. I actually can't play that game anymore because I actually know the password now. Okay, you're responding to someone else. Oh, don't forget Bowl too. Yeah, unlike Tori, I'm pretty impressed with what Michael Porter Jr. is doing right now. Um, he his shot is really nice form, so that bodes well for him continuing this. As does Gary Trent Jr. His form is great as well. So I think that's replicable to be doing what they're doing long term. The only thing I worry about Michael Porter Jr. is, I've said this many times, he doesn't have a huge he doesn't have a huge game film on him, amount of games that you can watch, because he didn't play in college. He didn't play his first year in the NBA. So I'm interested to see what happens once teams scout him a little better. So yeah, I think teams will find ways to slow him down a little bit. But if Denver's offense is pretty creative, and having a guy like Jokic is why I hope Nurkic can turn into this kind of playmaker, to where he's just so good at getting people open with his passing, that I think Porter Jr. can thrive on a team like that, even once he does get scouting. Obviously, he's not great defensively, so that's always going to be the biggest thing with him. But as we see with guys like Dame and CJ, it's more with those guys, you just have to try to show an effort on that end of the court and not be completely a complete liability out there. So, but yeah, like I saw Michael Porter Jr. cut a few times, and Jokic found him tonight, and yeah, I like his game. I think it's good. I wanted us to find a way to get him when he started sliding down the draft. Obviously, who knows how that would have worked out with him missing all last season and all that stuff. But yeah, I think he's a really good fit with Jokic, except for defensively, it kind of leaves them pretty bad because Jokic isn't the greatest defender either. And that's why missing a guy like Millsap tonight was really hard for them, because he's a great defender. So yeah, we'll see. And yeah, the stuff I worry about with Michael Porter Jr. right now is a little bit mentally. Yeah, kind of question how good you can be if you're not the smartest guy away from the court. Not that that's like the end-all be-all. I just like my players to be a little smarter. Like a guy like Dame is smart. He's intelligent about everything he says, and thinks about what he says before he says it. So yeah. Yeah, we could have gotten Bol, but we took Nas, and I will continue defending that decision. Bol is like such a unique player. I don't know long term how he's gonna fit into the league. You will see some spurts where, if he's used properly, he has little outbursts. But long term, over the course of his season, I think a guy like that is really hard to be consistently good. Yeah, Gary Trent Jr. is about to get some drug tests, and I think what needs to happen is every road game next year, if they travel and aren't in a bubble, that I think he's got to have a fashion show in the bathroom before the plane lands. I think that's going to have to be one of those things where it's like a good luck charm. And he has to do it like secretly while a bunch of people are waiting to take a dump and stuff and are getting mad at him. And yeah, Josu probably does agree with Michael Porter Jr.'s take. That's probably a good bet. And but in terms of Nasir, he's not getting a chance here. But I'm telling you guys, that guy, you cannot just change a shot, your form, to look that drastically different during a season if you aren't putting in just a crap load of hours and time, like, working on it. And so that to me shows that his work ethic is great. And I've seen firsthand, I was at the Toronto game where he got his first start in the NBA, and he absolutely Tori's donating $2 to himself. But yeah, I saw firsthand in a game this year where he absolutely shut down Pascal Siakam for 3 quarters, got a foul late in the third quarter, got subbed out, never came back in the game, and Pascal Siakam lit us up in the fourth quarter, and we lost a game that we should have won earlier in the season. There's a long laundry list of games that happened this year where we should have won. But yeah, like Trevor mentions, for some reason it takes almost 3 years for players like that to get shots in this system. But I do think that there is a lot of potential there with Nasir. I'm not sure if he'll ever reach it, but the fact that he has a work ethic like that does show me that he will at least go down trying to reach that. And I do like, because I feel like his year in North Carolina completely messed him up because he came off the bench. He was basically relegated to being an off-ball three-point shooter, which isn't really his strength. I saw him in high school. He was basically like a point forward type and brought the ball up and then could play make a little bit, could pass, could score off the dribble. And then so I still think he has that ability in there to develop. And if he works as hard on his ball handling and his defense as he did his shot, I think he is going to be a really good player in this league. And that's another reason why I don't necessarily think we need to make a move like for an Oubre, is because I think, we have a guy like Nasir who could eventually be that type of player. And he's a little short height-wise, but he does have a huge wingspan. So players like that can succeed playing like a small forward or power forward, even though he might only be 6'6", he can still guard power forwards because he's so long. And then before Tori gets triggered too much more, so Tori Jones, thank you for the $2 donation. Tori Jones thanks you for that, and he'll appreciate the $2 into his wallet there. So the question is, can a second-round pick sign a 4-year rookie contract? And the answer to that is no, they cannot. So what happens with a second-round pick can sign for any amount, but it can only be for 2 or 3 years. So if you sign him to the minimum or like a rookie deal, you can sign him to a 4-year deal if you basically sign him as a free agent, but then you would have to use cap space and your mid-level exception or whatever to do that. So the only way, but it wouldn't be a 4-year rookie contract. It would be like an actual contract then. It would basically be like he was a free agent. So we kind of did that with Gary Trent. So the year we signed him, or we drafted him, we used part of our mid-level exception on him and then the rest on Seth Curry. And what we did with that was because then you could guarantee his contract for the third year. If you don't do it that way, since we didn't have cap space, he would have only been guaranteed for 2 years, and then he would be a free agent this summer. So it was the right decision. I thought it was kind of weird at the time, but I think that in hindsight, it was a great decision to have Gary Trent at like $1.5 million next year versus him being a free agent this summer. But yeah, so he has one more year left on his deal for 1.5 million or so, and then he'd be a restricted free agent the next summer. But we can offer him an extension this summer off his rookie contract, NBA Forever. We talked about that earlier in the stream. Can Nasir guard LeBron? Probably. I mean, LeBron is the type of guy who is really crafty and can get a guy like Little into foul trouble and then the Lakers into the bonus really fast. But I would like to see him get a shot at least to guard him a few times, since we don't really have a lot of lengthy wings like an Ariza would have provided for matching up on him. And yeah, Nas is known as the Zion stopper back in the AAU circuit. And yeah, Mario blocked LeBron that one time, yeah, so everyone thinks he can defend him regularly. And yeah, Wenyan would probably have to be used a little bit of time on AD. I'm not so sure about putting him on LeBron, but yeah, we might give him a few minutes on AD. AD's been shooting the three well at games I've seen him. LeBron's the type, he's streaky from three, but if you can force him more into 3-point shots instead of getting easy buckets at the hoop, that's usually a good strategy. Of course, he can get hot for a while, but yeah. It'll definitely be some interesting matchups. Where do you think we'll be in the standings next year? It's so hard to tell because not knowing the cap situation, not knowing our actual roster with so many free agents, and then not knowing what other teams around us will do. I mean, just looking at it, I'm assuming Anthony Davis re-signs with the Lakers, and that means that, you know, you have him and LeBron. LeBron will start showing his age eventually. I'm not sure if it'll be next year yet or if it'll be, you know, several years down the line. But anytime you got those two guys, they'll definitely be in the mix for one of the top seeds as long as they're healthy. And then you got the Kawhi and Paul George and the Clippers, so they'll be good for several years. And then Denver's not going anywhere, but I don't know. I feel like we're right there in that Denver range. Houston, if they keep on playing small ball, I don't like that long term as a strategy. Let's see. OKC, I think, is going to have a major fall off next year. Dallas, I think, is showing you that they're still a piece or two away from contending. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to add that at all. And then Utah. I don't know, Utah seems kind of like they were like in that Denver range where they're going to be good for several years. Good night, Leo. Have a good one. But now it seems like they're kind of falling apart internally. I know they're saying the right things about them all getting along, but I still think there's some bitterness about how the season and the virus situation played out this year. So I could see them taking a little bit of a step back more towards the later half of the playoff picture, the seeding wise, and us moving up into that 3-4 range with in the conversation with like Denver and Houston and those kind of teams. And then I put, like Utah, Dallas right behind that. And then you got to factor in Golden State. Forgot about them. So they'll have seemingly fully healthy team, a high draft pick. So they have weapons to trade options, or if they're just healthy and keep the team together, they do have a pretty good nucleus to contend for one of the top seeds as well. So hopefully they're not as good as they've been the last few years once they're healthy again. Um, but yeah, that's a team that's scary too. So yeah, somewhere in the 3 to 4 range. Um, yeah, maybe 3 to 5, maybe I'd say next year. But like I said, a lot depends on other moves and stuff like that. NBA Forever says the Blazers will win a chip in the next 5 years. I'd love to see it. I hope you're right. Let's see. Do I think that the Blazers could beat the Lakers in the first round? Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's definitely not anywhere close to like 50% chance or anything like that. It's a pretty small percentage of chance. And I saw someone, I forgot who it was, but saying like, could we just take charges against LeBron and flop a little bit? Oh, it's Kevin Reese. Um, in the playoffs, there's no way you're getting that call against LeBron if you flop. You're going to get called for the foul. So that would definitely be a bad strategy. Um, the thing is, and this is what gives me hope, and it's stupid to do this, but like if the Blazers were to upset the Lakers, they would be in a position to go on a deep run, because then you'd have what, like Houston or Utah or someone like that in the second round, and we matched up fairly well with those teams. Um, and then you go, then you have like Denver and Clippers having to play each other on the other side, hopefully like beat them up. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to think about, but yeah, I'm not. It's going to be really, really hard to beat a team with LeBron and AD in the playoffs. I mean, those are two fantastic players. And you saw what LeBron's been doing his whole career. And then you add to that what AD did to us in that series against us a couple years ago. Uh, yeah, if it's ever going to happen against a team that's that good, like Ash says, with no home court advantage, that really helps us out. But the Lakers are a team that's always struggled playing in Portland, though, historically. So that kind of hurts both ways. But yeah, being the lower seed, obviously, we wouldn't have as many home games as the Lakers would. But yeah, we'd find out pretty fast if AD is if we manage to think of a different strategy on how to beat AD's traps on defense. But yeah, the only thing that does give me a little bit of hope is we went into a game that was like a playoff atmosphere, and that the Lakers absolutely wanted to win, and that was that Kobe Memorial game. And we went down there and punked the Lakers in their building. If we can do that, I wouldn't say we have zero chance against them. I think we have a legit chance to make some noise. But yeah, it's pretty tough to just like predict us beating them, especially since you have to do it 4 times versus if they would have made the series like 5 games in the first round to cut down on some of the time. It would be a little better. How many times has Dame been swept again? Well, he got swept by the Warriors twice and the Pelicans once. I think 3 times. Because we won a game against the Spurs, we won a game against the Grizzlies, we won a game against the Warriors the one time we played them in the second round. Yeah, I think that's right. I think 3 times. But yeah, I mean, one of them was in the Western Conference Finals. One of them we didn't have a legit center. We had Nurk got hurt. That was the year we traded for him and uh, went on that huge run. We were the best team our post All-Star break that season. And then Nurk got hurt right before the playoffs, and then he tried to play in Game 3. We had a huge lead, and then he couldn't play much in the second half, and we blew the lead. and the series, and then got swept. But that we had like Noah Vonleh and Myers Leonard were only bigs on that roster because Ed Davis was hurt that year as well. Um, and yeah, so I mean, obviously the Pelican sweep is the worst of them all. The Warriors sweep last year, like I said, it was in the Western Conference Finals, but we had a lead um, in the second half, I think, of all those games. Um, yeah, it's just frustrating. Uh, when do you think Lillard will start to decline? I don't know, because like he just turned 30 a couple weeks ago. Uh, he's definitely, I mean, this is the best season he's ever had. So I don't know if he can match this in seasons to come, but I don't see too much of a fall off at least for 2 or 3 more years. And he's not a guy that gets in the air a lot. He does get mad and tries to pack on people sometimes. Um, but yeah, I don't think his body's going to break down as much as like a Westbrook might start to see in the next few years. So I'd say at least 2 elite years like this left after this one, and then probably 3 to 4 prime years, and then he'll start to tail off, in mid 30s or so. But yeah, I'd like to see him after this season be in a situation where we can cut down his minutes a little bit and maybe load manage him a little bit so we're not running him into the ground. But yeah, what are my thoughts on the 8-man rotation? I'd like to see Little get a chance just a few minutes, but overall, I think it's the right thing to do in this situation with only 8 games, needing to win pretty much all of them. I think the 8-man rotation is the right move. I didn't think Mario Hezonja being a part of that 8-man rotation was the right move, but I think the last 2 games we've seen the right players play at pretty much the right times. Um, NBA Forever asked how long I've been a Blazer fan. I am 41 years old. I was born and raised in Portland. I have rooted for the Blazers my entire life. I was fortunate enough when I was younger to get to go to several games a year. So yeah, as far back as I can remember, I grew up with like the Drexler, Porter, Kersey teams, and then I was like 11 in 1990 when they went to the finals. So yeah, I've been rooting for the Blazers my whole life. So yeah, will always be a Blazer fan, and I unless you've been alive for longer than 41 years, then yeah, I've been a Blazer fan longer than you. Uh, um, so you don't think Dame will have another season like this? I don't see any reason why he can't be efficient, especially like we talked about earlier. The more better roster we have around him, if I don't see any reason why he can't keep that same efficiency. I mean, obviously, having a historic stretch of 52-point games is averaging 52 points for that many games in a row is very unlikely for any player to do or replicate in a season. But just in terms of staying efficient in that 60% range for a true shooting percentage, I don't really see a huge drop off happening, or any kind of drop off, at least for 2 more seasons. DoorDash is down. That sucks. Tori's having great luck today. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that you're saying he won't have 29 points and 8 assists. Well, I see those assist numbers going up. I mean, you look at it, the bubble, how having capable 3-point shooters and options to pass to with the 2 bigs, I think he's the league leader in assists right now, isn't he? I think he's averaging. I mean, he's had a game with 16 assists. He had 12 assists tonight. Um, I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in assists through the bubble games. So I see no reason why um, he can't improve those assist numbers playing with better players. And then yeah, Ash, Torrey Jones is actually Torrey. That's funny. Um, and then yeah, I mean his points could definitely go down. I could see that, but like I said, if he stays efficient with his scoring while becoming a better distributor, I don't see any problem with that. I think it actually might be better for the Blazers if they have other guys that can shoot the lights out. Yeah, Torrey spamming. He's on his personal account. Like I use my personal account when I talk in chat. So unless I'm running the stream. Um, Sherman's asked, "How were you feeling on draft night of 2012?" So I really wanted Drummond in that draft. Not ahead of Dame. I kind of after Dame's workout in Portland. Like I was pretty confident that should be the right pick at 6. Um, and it had been a long time since we had a legit point guard. So that was good that we got him. I was just really hoping that we find a way to move up and get both Dame and Drummond. So when that didn't happen, I was a little disappointed. Everyone dogs the Myers pick, but I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of players like in that 11 to 20 range that um, uh, that I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind having some of them. You know, you look at like an Evan Fournier or a Jeremy Lamb type, but like we needed a big man then. So yeah, I don't really blame the Myers pick. I just wish we could have found a way to get Dame and Drummond out of that draft. Um, so I wonder what would have happened if we picked uh, Drummond at 6, and then I don't know if those other teams would have taken Dame or not. But yeah, I'm glad we took Dame. Obviously, like I'm just going through like what I was thinking about leading into that draft. Definitely surprising when Cleveland took Waiters at 4, and then Harrison Barnes fell to 7, because at the time he was projected to be like going into college that year. He was projected to be the number 1 pick and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Yeah, it would have been Dame, Drummond, and LaMarcus. That would have been a pretty good combo, I think. I mean, a lot of people are down on Drummond, but I think he's okay. I mean, yeah, he's a little Whiteside-esque, but I think he's a little smarter player. But yeah, I don't know. Like I saw something where they rated Drummond like they listed like 60 players better than Drummond, and that's just ridiculous. But yeah, Eric, can you talk about the draft this year and who we should draft? What's up, codename Ace2? I'm really high on both Sadiq Bey and Aaron Naismith, but I don't know if both of them or either of them will be around by the time we pick. I think so. Naismith shot over 50% on threes in limit. I mean, he got hurt, so he didn't finish the year. So it's kind of like a hood situation where we don't know how that efficiency would have broken down throughout the course of the season. But it was over 8 attempts per game that he shot over 50% on 3-pointers. So that's insane. So I like that lights out shooting ability. But Sadiq Bey to me is the most NBA ready of the two, and also could be or will be the better all around player. So and he's 6'8", so he's got the length. It's kind of like a Trevor Ariza type with a little better maybe offensive ability, but maybe a little less handles and a little less defender. But yeah, definitely that type. We haven't had a lot of like 6'8", 6'9" wings with good ability on both sides of the court. But yeah, Tori's gonna poop all over this. But yeah. Oh, you already ruined it. No, you weren't fast enough. I'm gonna put user in timeout for spamming chat. Was I high on CJ in 2013? Oh, Oops, I didn't actually mean to do it. Oh, that's funny. Sorry, Tari. um, but anyways, so 2013, I did like CJ. I was a little worried that he was a little too close to Dame in terms of skill set. And then oh, he's on the Blazers. Hey man, you know you're not supposed to spam chat like that. I don't care who you are. But I liked Rudy Gobert in that draft. I liked Giannis. At the time, I felt like our team was ready to make the next step, which we obviously did that next year. So it's a little different mindset from when, like obviously after Aldridge left, and then like if you would have drafted a guy like Giannis in 2015, here I'm showing you flipping me off. There you go. I didn't hide it. So I felt like Giannis wasn't the right pick for the Blazers necessarily. That doesn't mean he shouldn't have been one of the top picks. I did think for most teams like he should have been picked higher, obviously. But then, but yeah, I really liked Rudy Gobert and I really liked Giannis. I liked CJ. There were some rumors that we were trying to get Trey Burke, and I thought that was horrible considering we just took Dame the year before. And luckily, Trey Burke, I think Minnesota traded, or Utah traded up for him with Minnesota, or took him right before us or something. But yeah, so yeah, I was fine with CJ pick. I didn't want to take Steven Adams. I did not want Michael Carter-Williams, which people clown me about that after his first year when he won Rookie of the Year. But then that turned out to be the right move, although he would have had some trade value, I guess. But I don't know if we would have been smart enough like Philadelphia to trade him at the time. But yeah. I was surprised Gobert fell to 27 in that. I think it was the Warriors who actually drafted him, and they traded him to Utah on draft night, which would have been crazy if you think about it. Having, in retrospect, would you take Steven over CJ? Absolutely not. I don't think Adams is right. Hi, sweetheart. Oh, it was the Nuggets, yeah. Blazers Uprise Patreon. You're just getting on different accounts now. But no, I wouldn't take Adams over. I think Adams is. I mean, he's a great personality. He's an okay. He's above average center, but I don't. I mean, we'd be in the position right now where we're paying him, upwards of close to the high 20 millions in salary. So yeah, you want to say hi? You gonna be shy? Be shy? Yep, that's my daughter. Bye. Why are you being shy? You're never shy. And yeah, see, and if we had Adams, we wouldn't have traded for Nurk and all that stuff, and we'd be paying. I think Adams next year is going to make twice as much as Nurk makes. So yeah, I'd much rather have Nurk in the 13 million range than pay Adams like 26, 27 million. So yeah. Okay, you can't keep coming in and out. Do you want to stay out or go back in? Okay, thank you. Yeah, twice as much. Yep, that's right, Chris. Yeah. So, Eric, you better have your audio output on. I don't know what that means. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, Tori. Yeah. And as you can see, Adams is a solid center, but Nurk like actually changes games with his ability to pass and score and rebound and play defense. And I think he's a little more agile than Adams is, especially in pick and roll situations on defense. So, yeah, I would take Nurk. Yeah, that's a good point, Joel. If Nurk and Collins were healthy and we were like the third through the fifth seed again, and we were only behind the two LA teams in the standings that Dame was putting up these numbers, he would be a lot higher in the MVP race than he is. I still don't know if he'd be higher than Giannis because, I mean, he's 30 and 15. I mean, that's ridiculous, and it's in a lot less minutes as well. So I don't know if he would win MVP. I don't know if he ever has a chance of winning it outright, but he'd definitely be in more consideration if the team is better this year. But yeah, I don't think he would be voted MVP over Giannis or LeBron this year. But yeah. And I think he's going to be one of those guys who it's going to be hard for him. It's almost like you have to win a championship and then be good the next year too. And then people will reward you for not only the season you're having, but that you've proven it the year before as well. So like this year, he would have gotten a lot more credit if the team was better than he would have the year before because of how we did in the playoffs. And I know the playoffs don't factor into the voting officially, but like just, taking a team to the Western Conference Finals that everyone thinks is inferior to some of the teams in the West, and then following it up with the year he had, and if we were like a contending team in terms of seeding right now, I think that would be hard to deny, and he would get a lot of votes that way. But it's just, I think the deck is stacked against a guy like Dame actually winning the award. But yeah, as long as he's finishing in the top, 5 to 7 in voting every year, I think that's a good goal, and that it's definitely something that, or average a triple double. Yeah, see, Westbrook averaged a triple double, and that was amazing. And it's kind of like the Triple Crown in baseball. Like if you do it, it's so hard to like not vote for that, especially the first time. There was a year, I know I'm going to talk about baseball, probably no one cares, but there was a year where Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown, but Trout had like a way better year, so there was like a debate on who should be the MVP. Peace out. Go Blazers. No. Tori's calling. Tori's calling in. You killed everyone's ears. So man, I was about to sign
I'm
off.
back.
Oh,
And you banned me on my own YouTube account.
hold on, let me plug. I don't have the audio output thing on.
Bro, I told you to be ready.
I don't.
So I didn't kill anybody's ears. That's good, actually.
No, you did kill everyone's ears because the Skype thing played over my. Because I took my headphones out, so the Skype thing was right next to the headphone or the microphone.
Can they hear me?
I don't know. Can you guys hear Tori?
Oh shit!
Well, they can hear you, yeah. But I was about to sign off in a minute.
Well, I'm back now.
I know, but it's.
Well, maybe. Oh, I wish I could take over, bro. DoorDash crashed.
Yeah.
Everything's gone wrong today, man.
They can very much hear you, I guess.
Well, good.
Unfortunately, yes. That's funny.
Man. Screw y'all, man.
Oh, it's a joke.
Toxic. Honestly, I might stream for a little bit if you're gonna get off. I honestly think I could take it over. Let's try this, just in case we want to do this in the future. I want to try this. Let's do an experiment. Do you want to do it, Eric?
I turned down his volume a little bit. I think, does that help or what?
Did you hear me?
Yeah, we can try it.
Let's try it.
We got 4 dislikes. That sucks. Tori.
Yeah, People's Mix, Josu, Mike.
That's 3. Tori Jones, Blazers Uprise Live, and Blazers Uprise Patreon. There's 3 of the 4.
I had no idea what it looked like when you got banned. I was so shocked. I was like, he banned me. I was trying to get banned, though. I'm proud of you for banning me. No.
Hey, man, you started spamming those.
Bro, I'm top-notch troll level in my own chat.
Yeah, sure.
So, I drive you crazy. Yeah, so let me try and... Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious if I could, like, take over the stream on my end. Actually, it'd look crummy. I'll try that when I have my other computer. I just wanted to say what's up, because now I'm back. It just sucks. The DoorDash is down. My computer is down. Yeah, dude. It's rough, man. Today started great, and now everything's just gone to just... The Blazers won, so, I mean, we're still good, but, like, I'm tired of the crap, man. No, donation is the only good part of the troll. I just wanted to ask that question because I saw Dan Meringue say something on Twitter, and I was like, I thought maybe you could only sign him. I don't know, something about like I don't even remember honestly. It was something about like Gary Trent Jr.'s contract. So I asked like, I thought maybe because I knew there were some weird rules around it, and I thought maybe you couldn't sign guys to 4-year extensions. I don't know. I was gonna try and expose him. But no, so that's what that was based on. I just felt like you might not see it, so I donated.
Oh, okay.
Because I actually lose money. Because I actually lose like 30% of it.
Yeah, I know.
So I lost 30 cents.
That's what I was wondering what you were doing.
I thought it'd be funny too, so I said, why not? But no way am I donating like 100. I'll lose $30.
You should have asked if I do a rap for $100.
A rap for $100? I'd pay that to myself to see.
They'll pay me $100 too.
You didn't answer my question. My main question.
What main question?
I asked you when Tori's rap sing along is coming out.
I never even saw that one. Apparently, keep your eyes open for 6 days from now because there's something major dropping on 8/12.
Eyes open? You mean your ears open?
Well,
it's a song.
You can look for it. dropping and then listen to it.
You can look for the audio.
What's
You
up,
can
Josh
hear with your
Sargent?
eyes.
What's up, man? How you doing? Where
Did you
you
get my
been?
Did you get my Patreon message today? That watch party was scuffed, but I didn't know if you'd get the Patreon message. It's been a minute. Tori donates his own channel. It's just him donating to Google. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Basically. Why do you... It was the smallest... I didn't know that if you only donated $1, you couldn't leave a message.
Oh, really? That's lame.
Did nachos happen?
No.
Nachos have
Tori
not
still
happened.
needs to eat nachos.
That's so weird, man. Westbrick, why, bro?
Well,
How did that
Mom.
even happen? I swear I did not suggest that.
Hey, Josh, just in case, so we have a lot of our live streams are on a different channel, Blazers Uprise Live, just so it helps the analytics of the main channel. So, like, our live shows have been on another channel if you haven't noticed that yet.
Yep, I will comment with that channel right now to make it easy for you to go subscribe. After this
He might
damn
already be a
ad,
subscriber. I'm just.
this ad is so annoying. I had to like watch ads on all my different accounts, and I know they're ads for me, but they're still annoying.
Nice.
Uh,
So we're at $42 in chat revenue. I feel like if this was still like the wrap, like get $100 for a wrap, I feel like people would be donating for crazy right now, trying to get. Yeah.
which I wish I could contact the guy that donated me that 100 because I would give it back to him because I took so long
Yeah,
for
we're
it.
missing first P last year.
I know. I would like give him his 100 back and then still drop it, but he's been gone, so maybe he hates me. I don't know. Somebody was gonna try and expose me for that. It's like, man, I want to. Shoot, if I had time, I'd put out an EP for y'all. Need some like anthem music for this channel, you know. So
Destrom
that
said
vo-
he was watching the Nuggets feed, and their announcers are actually good. Do you happen to know
probably better
who
than
that
Jordan
was?
Kent. Probably better than Jordan Kent, to be honest. I'm not a fan of Jordan Kent so far. He's all right. I don't know. He's just You're quiet.
It's hard to get used to a new person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you were like.
I don't know if that's his fault or not.
I thought you were protesting my opinion in
No,
silence.
I mean I've said this several times. I can't imagine not only getting that job, but then to have to do it to where you're not even at the arena and have to commentate it. Like the deck's stacked against him right now. So
I'd be great at it, you know.
yeah. Well,
Actually, I wonder how I'd. Like, I'm joking about that. I might be awful. I wonder how I'd do, though. I feel like I'd have a head start.
yeah, I don't know.
With you as the color commentator, and I could, like, you know, we could bounce back and forth with different stuff.
Yeah.
That could be good. And I wish we could, like, stream games on YouTube and commentate or something.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun, bro. I'm so mad that it crashed.
Yes, I do miss Mike and Mike. Still feel like that was really they did them dirty.
Yeah. Oh, is it back up? All right. Well, since you were about to get off,
What's back up?
DoorDash.
You're gonna head back
Bro,
up.
they had $2 bonus pay per delivery, and I couldn't even take advantage of it because it crashed. That's what's frustrating about it.
Chris, what's the Mike and Mike beef? Are you asking me what happened with them? So they were both under contract, had been the announcers for a long time. We were coming off that season where it was the first year after Aldridge, I think, left, and then we made the second round of the playoffs. And then shortly after that, they just got terminated for seemingly no reason. Mike Barrett says to this day he has no idea why he was fired or what the reasoning behind, and that it completely shocked him. And then it came out several weeks before it actually happened that um, they actually had a deal with Calabro and wanted to make someone from Seattle the voice of the Blazers to try and get some of that market that doesn't have a team. And so I'm pretty sure they had an agreement with Calabro or trying to get him aboard, and then they needed to fire Mike and Mike to do that. Um, and then, yeah, Antonio Harvey was also fired off of radio at the same time. So yeah, it was just, and that's why it's tough for everyone. Like Calabro's, I mean, he's a pro. He's nationally recognized as a good announcer, but Barrett grew up, I think, in like Albany or somewhere just south of Portland, and he was a Blazer fan. Like you could tell he was a Blazer fan. He was actually decent at announcing games, even though I mean he's definitely a homer. But like I've always talked about on local broadcasts, I don't mind a bit of homerism. Like obviously, if you're a national broadcaster, you don't want to show that level of emotion. But
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I always thought watching a game with Mike and Mike was like watching a game with some of your buddies, and it was kind of just a chill, like, oh, what stupid thing is Mike Rice gonna say, or mispronunciation, or argument with a ref, or what's gonna happen. And then and Barrett always kind of played off him well, even though he was becoming less and less great at basketball analysis. But yeah, it just rubbed me the wrong way at what they did to them and just firing them for no reason. And a lot of people really love them, but yeah, it was just frustrating. So yeah, no offense to Hurd or Calabro or anything, but yeah, I still think
I do think, yeah, I do think Hurd is one of the top 5 color guys in the league, though. I love Hurd. I think he's phenomenal. I definitely miss both of them too. It sucks, but yeah, I don't know. Like that, like closed an era. Like it just feels like a different era now, just with different commentators.
And the weird part is, so starting obviously with, it really helped last year having that deep playoff run because it felt like Calabro was becoming more of a Blazer fan and not just announcing the game. Like he was actually not faking or like having to I don't know what the right word is, but he wasn't having to like manipulate his enthusiasm for the team or like do it in a way that didn't seem legit. So it kind of sucks that he left right when he did, because I felt like he was finally, it takes a while for fans to come around on that. But yeah, I felt like he was becoming part of the broadcast team. But yeah, I miss Wheels too. I feel like he wasn't. He had health issues, of course, but like I feel like he was given kind of a raw deal too. Not once again, not take anything away from Demers, but because from all accounts he's done a fine job this year. But yeah, it's a tough situation.
Yep.
I agree. No one knows why Calabro left. Apparently, he enjoyed his time with his family during the quarantine or the shutdown period, and didn't want to leave his family, and also didn't want to risk, health reasons and stuff. So I think he was just enjoying life at home with his family and didn't want to come back. So he opted out, and I don't know if that's a bridge that could still be repaired and come back to in the future, or if he's just completely done calling games for the Blazers. But
yeah, it'll be very interesting to see who they have in that role next year.
Yeah,
for sure. Anyway, I gotta go because it came back up.
All right, have fun, man.
All right, man.
Now I can stream for another hour. No, just kidding.
I rejuvenated you. Oh, that'd be funny. I'd be down. I was listening.
Yeah.
Sitting there trying to figure out why my damn app wouldn't work. So,
yeah.
All right. I'll catch y'all later. Peace out. Go Blazers.
Later, man. Was Derrick Rose going to be the best point guard ever? No. I mean, he was good, but he, I think, is closer to like a Westbrook type point guard than like Magic Johnson or John Stockton or Isaiah Thomas type point guards. I mean, definitely good to great. I just don't know if that style. I mean, even 9 years ago doesn't seem like a long time ago, but just the way the game has evolved into 3-point shooting since the Warriors of what would that have been like 2014, 2015 is when the Warriors won their first title. So I think his game would have been overshadowed a little bit once the 3-point system would have been. But I mean, he was a great player. I just don't know if he wouldn't have come close to best point guard ever type. Eric, do you feel a sense of urgency to make a move while Dame is in his prime? That's tough for me. Like, I feel like if it's the level of like what Toronto did with Kawhi Leonard and bringing him in, or like if Anthony Davis would have been okay with coming here, then you basically trade whoever you can outside of Dame and then just put pieces around them and build. But if we're talking about like I mean, you guys mentioned like Jimmy Butler and stuff, so like I don't know. Yeah, having a guy like that definitely makes us better, but I don't know if it gets us to a championship. Um, but yeah, I mean, we talked about off-season moves a lot, but yeah, getting ready to wrap up the stream because it's super late. We've been streaming a long time. How long have we been going? Does it say anywhere? I'm so lost on these things. Chris, have a good night, man. It's been great talking with you guys. About 3 hours, I think we've been on here. Appreciate you, Chris. Appreciate you, Alex. Ash, great to have you in. Yeah, Malcolm, that was fun watching the game kind of with you earlier. Thanks, codename Ace. Yeah, thanks again to Tori. I always appreciate him letting me have these opportunities to do this. It's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy talking basketball with you guys. Thanks, Benjamin. You haven't been commenting much, but yeah. Andre, who's better, Anthony Davis or Dame? If you're just talking in a vacuum, who's the better player, it's Anthony Davis. But if you want to say who's had the better career, I don't think there's any denying that Dame has had a better career because the talent level on the teams has been fairly similar, and Dame has made the playoffs all but 1 year, and Anthony Davis on the Pelicans only made it twice, only made it out of the first round once versus 3 years for Dame. So I feel like Dame has had a better career arc than Anthony Davis. And then obviously getting traded to the Lakers and getting to play with LeBron, will make his team that much better because Dame has never played anywhere close to a player like LeBron. He hasn't even played with like a star player, other than if you want to consider Aldridge a star. But in terms of like all NBA teams and stuff like that, I mean, he played with Aldridge his first 3 years, but since then he hasn't had a player even close to an all-star or all NBA level. So I would put that towards Dame in terms of what they've actually accomplished. My favorite player in general is Damian Lillard. Yeah, he's one of my favorite players of all time. And I also really love Nurk and watching him play and watching him develop. Yeah. I don't like like a lot of players from other teams. Screw all of them. Go Blazers. Yeah, I agree, Ash. Dame seems to elevate the team around him. Can't question Dame's leadership. It also it also it it shows a lot. I don't know where I was going for that. I lost my train of thought. But like Anthony Davis, to me, you're kind of a punk if you can't win where you're at and then you have to get traded to like a certain team in order to be good or win. And like I said, Anthony Davis has had similar players. I mean, he had like Drew Holiday, he had Mirotic for a while. He had several good players around him. I don't think they did a great job of putting pieces around him, but if he was truly a transcendent player, I think he should have at least had them in the playoffs or fighting for that last playoff seed every year instead of making it one time out of the first round. And yeah, unfortunately, yeah, they had Boogie Cousins that year. Yeah. It would have been interesting if they kept Buddy Hield and not made the Cousins trade, how that would have looked right now. Or not now, I guess. He probably still would have opted out. But it would have been interesting to see. In terms of Dame being the greatest Blazer ever, I think he's pretty close. For me, it's hard because obviously we talk about career arcs. Longevity-wise, he's almost into Drexler's category. Drexler did make 2 finals, and I mean, he's one of the greatest shooting guards of all time. So Dame is right on that level, I think, or at least approaching it. But then it's always hard because Walton didn't have the legit longevity, but he did win MVP and won a championship. So it's hard to compare the two. But yeah, like if Dame ever won a championship, he would be easily the best player of all time for the Portland Trail Blazers, but it's hard to distinguish between those 3 right now. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you to those of you who were with me during the game too. I'm sorry that it didn't really work out quite how we were hoping it would work out. Hopefully we will have those kinks out of the way so the next time, oh man, you don't want to know about that, Shervins. Yeah, let's just say with how frustrated and mad I get or into playoff games, let's just say I had a girlfriend who almost broke up with me because she didn't like the way or how angry I got watching a basketball game or my temper, and she ended up breaking up with me, but like that's how bad it was. And yeah, I earlier in that playoffs I had punched a hole in the wall. Yeah, yeah, it does sound like a Tory story, but yeah, I had a lot of issues. Yeah, so the most, like, I mean, obviously outside, like my family seeing like children being born and getting married and all that stuff can't compare to any sports event, but seeing Dame outside of those events, seeing Dame hit those 2 game-winning shots, like I can't imagine a time in my life where I've had more joy than that or been that amped up for something that I wasn't even like involved with personally, as just watching it. And then yeah, it's like several of those moments, like the 2000 Western Conference Finals. Those are some of the lowest moments of my life. So yeah, it's been through the whole gauntlet of emotions with the Blazers, and obviously they won their championship 2 years before I was born. So I don't know what it's like for the Blazers to win a championship. I want that more than anything outside of, happiness and health and stuff for all my family. Um, More than anything in my life, that's what I would want the most if I could have one like arbitrary thing go my way. Um, Man, I really got school in 1 week. Oh, you like really school. Um, so yeah, uh, I'm lucky enough to witness all my 49ers championships, but most of those, I mean, I was 15 when they won their last one in '94, so um, doesn't really. In my adult life, I haven't had the joy of one of my teams winning. The Niners have gotten close twice. Obviously, the Blazers got to the Western Conference Finals a couple times. But yeah, it's if the Blazers won it, and it's the city of Portland, and getting to go to that parade and all that stuff, I can't imagine a better feeling as a sports fan. Um, just the jubilation that would provide. Um, but yeah, hopefully one day I will see it. Um, I feel like the 49ers were just on the Super Bowl. I don't feel like that, like sitting there watching that game at one point when the Blazers or the 49ers were up double digits in the second half, and you're starting to think, wow, they could really get this done, and then to have them lose it. But at the same time, like I was thinking, like if this was the Blazers, I would be so much more pissed. And I'm not saying like I'm not like a diehard Niners fan, because I am, but like I feel like a Blazers championship would mean that much more to me. And then you combine that with the fact that if you see a guy like Damian Lillard, who's put his heart and soul into the city and who's been completely loyal and who is great in the community and is just everything you could want for in a franchise player, if that guy brings a championship on top of everything else he's done to this city, I mean, you might as well just give him whatever he wants right now, because um, I mean, he's already revered and, like we said in the conversation, the best Blazer ever in terms of the community and stuff like that. I mean, I think he's definitely. I don't know anyone who could possibly be better than him, like community wise. So yeah, like I would feel so good both for myself and for a guy like Dame to accomplish that in a place where no one thinks he can do it, and where the whole national. I mean, you see every time Dame says something or does something, you see all these Twitter posts about him in a Lakers uniform and all this BS. So like just seeing him hold up that championship trophy, that would be. I can't imagine a greater moment in the history of my sports rooting life that would be better than that. So I hope he stays here, and I hope that happens. I mean, I that would be awesome. But yeah, Dame definitely has that ability to have a Dirk type run. Obviously, you need a couple things to break your way. Had I guess, an okay shot last year. Had some luck with Golden State getting injured. We still couldn't do it. But yeah, I'd definitely cry if we won a championship. Yeah, I can admit that. I'd definitely be at the parade. Um, yeah, it would just be such vindication for everything. But yeah, um, hoping to see that someday. There's very few people in this community for Blazers Uprise that are older than me that saw the championship or even old enough to remember it or whatever. Um, but that the one Blazers championship, I mean, we had never made the playoffs in our. We've been around since 1970 and won it in '77. So that was the first year in the playoffs, and we just had like the perfect mix of role players and good players to complement Walton and some of those other guys. So yeah, it can happen. Like the next year, they were 50-10, and on their way to possibly winning multiple championships when Walton got hurt. So you never know how injuries play into it. Then we had situation in 2006, 2007 where we draft guys like Brandon Roy and Greg Oden, and it seems like them combined with LaMarcus Aldridge will lead us to at least contention for a long time. But yeah, so yeah, that obviously didn't work out. Yeah, I saw I was 11 and 90 and like 13 and 92 when they were in the finals. So the year that hurt the most though was the one in between those 2 years, 90-91 season. The Blazers were 63 and 19 that season, had the number 1 seed, and lost to the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. And unfortunately, I remember I think it was Terry Porter missed a shot towards the end, and instead of like holding the ball and getting fouled, Magic Johnson like threw the ball down the court, so it just like went down the court as the time ran out, and no one could get to it in time. It was so frustrating. Losing those, and that, much like 2000, you wonder what would have happened to the dynasty that preceded that or followed that, both with the Lakers and the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe. If they don't win a title that year, Phil Jackson's legacy starts to take a hit, and you start to wonder if Kobe and Shaq will ever get it done after blowing a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. And then the year they lost to the Lakers in 90-91 was the first year of the Bulls' 6 championships. So you wonder if they maybe upset the Bulls, because they played them pretty tough the next year, but they already had the confidence and championship pedigree from winning the year before. So you wonder if they would have won, if they would have beat the Lakers that year, if they could have somehow beat the Bulls, and then the Bulls, who knows what would have happened after that. And then the NBA history is a lot different. But yeah, that's twice where it could have happened, and the Blazers could have prevented it, but they lost in the Western Conference Finals. And then very frustrating. If the Blazers make the finals, are you breaking the bank and getting tickets? I will definitely try to go to a game. My mom has season tickets right now, so I think she would possibly, I don't know how the finals work, but I know the rest of the playoffs, she can opt in and get tickets. So I definitely would love to go to a finals game. I went to the 2000 Western Conference Finals. I did go to Game 6 of that series. So the Blazers were down 3-1. They won Game 5 in LA, and then came back and had Game 6 in Portland, in which they won. That was one of the best atmospheres and games I've ever been to, obviously, and that was a lot of fun. There was a lot of Laker fans there. It was fun to see them all leave after we beat them, and they were all down, thinking that they might lose in Game 7. But yeah, obviously we know how that turned out. And then last year, thanks to my mom, I was lucky enough to go to several of the playoff games last year. But yeah, the Western Conference Finals kind of sucked last year. But I did go to a game. But yeah, it's just disappointing when you get swept. It's not quite the same. Yep. All right, guys. Well, this has been a lot of fun. No Shervins. I don't think, at least as long as Dame and CJ are here, it's going to be really tough with our cap situation to sign a star. Yeah, the Laker fans are definitely an entitled fan base, and they think everyone who's unhappy should just come to them. But yeah. Yeah. But yeah, this has been an awesome stream. Really appreciate all you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow night, Friday night, with our Blazers live show. If you're not subscribed to that channel, there's less than 300 subscribed to that one and almost 3,000 on this one. So we're missing a bunch of people who are subscribed to this channel and not the other one. So do that if you want to continue seeing all our live shows. And hopefully we're talking about the Grizzlies possibly losing tomorrow, and us being tied for that 8th spot tomorrow night. And then we have wake up Saturday morning for early morning Blazer basketball. But yeah, catch you guys tomorrow night. Thank you everyone for watching. Appreciate all of you. Peace out. Go Blazers.